What is good, people? We have a full house tonight. We have a lit panel. Welcome back to the Race for Europe show. Maz, how are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, man. You should be good because look at this banner. We've even got a Brighton lad in there now. Mitoma. He makes it, brother. He makes it. You know what I'm saying?
Mitoma, best player in the league. He's on the banner.
Well, it's looking like one of them, bro. You're absolutely flying. Brighton just sell their best players and still keep winning. It's happy days, bro. So we're going to come into talking all things Brighton. I wanted to introduce you first because I thought you'd like that, Maz Mitoma in there. Do you know what I'm saying? Big up, Sam,
mate.
for sorting out. Big up, of course, the regulars as well. Big up, Billy. Big up, Pete. Big up, LB. Big up, Dan United. Big up, Errol. And big up, Lawless. Boys, it's been an absolutely mental weekend, one with some crazy discussion points. And I just want to say, Lawless, the title does have West Ham in it. The Twitter account might not have, but West Ham battering Chelsea is a part of this. And likely what Dan said off air, actually, Chelsea, there's no Chelsea anymore, man. So you must be gutted that there's no Chelsea here because you would have been absolutely destroying them. But we ain't going to start. We ain't going to start with West Ham. We are going to come back and touch it, though, because it was a massive talking point this weekend. It's nowhere else to start.
Put context out there because you tried to shoehorn a topic that, let's be real, no one cares about Arteta's new tactics of scraping wins against relegation fodder. You tried to put that as the top story that everyone cared about when West Ham slapped Chelsea. You had the Man United thing, obviously Brighton flying high. Man City just picking up like they never left. And you really tried to shoehorn Arsenal in there after a fucking 1-0 penalty win over Crystal Palace. Wow. That's what I'd
just like to say that the best player on the pitch for the last 2 weeks has been Declan Rice. Thank you so much, West Ham.
Is that the Declan Rice that still thinks he plays for West Ham? That Declan Rice, yeah?
I saw that last night.
That Declan Rice, yeah?
Declan is a gooner now, mate. Just stop crying. Wipe your tears.
Rice.
What happened? He basically went on talking about the West Ham boys, didn't he?
He didn't actually, to break your heart, sorry, Lawless, but he didn't actually say. He said West Ham and Arsenal.
No.
Yeah,
he did, Maz, didn't he? He did, Maz. He did.
If you listen to it carefully, listen to it carefully, you'll see.
No. I'm sorry, I listened to it enough. He said West Ham, so
listen to it enough. Mate, just enjoy battering Chelsea and leave Declan Rice to us. Well, he's chosen wisely now. He's a gooner. Dan United, I mean, I cannot start anywhere else, my friend. There's so much to talk about. Unfortunately, you're in between LB and Errol, who I'm sure I've got some questions for you this weekend. LB went on this, probably 10, 13-minute rant about how Ten Hag might be questioned. This midfield is questionable. I'll tell you that right now. I saw the Monday Night Football today with Jamie Carragher highlighting it in Neville, and I was thinking, wow, this is poor. Casemiro and Bruno, I think they're in 2 games the most walked round pair in the midfield or something?
We'll go run round. Let's not
run round. There we go. Run round.
We'll go round.
It ain't looking good, bro. And to be fair to you, I will say Errol and LB might not be as kind, but I will say I could sense some worry, Dan, from you for the last couple of weeks, bro. I could. And if you remember, Lawless, this time last year, Dan coming out saying, top 4, it'll be, we got Ten Hag, top 4. I haven't heard that this year from Dan. So
where did we finish when I said that last year, by the way? I think we finished 3rd.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm just saying that this year I haven't heard that much progress, bro.
What you're trying to do, Potts. I see what you're trying to do, and it's like
I'm just saying.
What you're trying to do, my man. But I think if we remember rightly, I've said on this show several times I see 5th or 6th, but you know what I'm saying. The only thing I fucked up on was putting us 4th in the prediction. No, look, where to start, really? I mean, fucking hell. It was horrendous. It was. I think, do you know something? I will speak solely to LB with this. You made me question him last week. You made me question him. And I'm here to say that I'm still backing my manager, still backing him. But I will say
I didn't know where you were going with that.
I will say this. Look, I think the main issue here is his complete. You said last week about you mentioned Ollie last week, LB, and this week made me think about it. And I think you may be bound to right on one thing, and this is his persistence to constantly play Anthony. Now, This is just getting embarrassing now. We know that this guy is not at a level to play not just for Manchester United, but I couldn't see him getting into any team in this panel. I can't see it. The guy doesn't understand what it is to be a footballer in the Premier League. I'm not going over all ground here when I say about the constant use of the left foot, but there's no willing. There's no willing to change his game. I'm still seeing the same performances that I saw at the start when he joined last season. But you can't put it all on Anthony now. As I've said, I do back Ten Hag, of course I do, but it's almost getting to that live by the sword, die by the sword situation where he is constantly playing him, and he is not utilising other players that I think are deserving of a chance to go on that right midfield, that right wing's position. Now, Pellistri, as we can all see, is potentially going out on loan to Sheffield United, which I've said this today on TikTok. Great move for Pellistri, because I think a player like him needs to be playing Premier League football week in, week out. It's great for his development, but it's a bad move for Manchester United. And Anthony must be sat there thinking, this is unreal. I'm playing wank week in, week out, and they're sending out someone that's been coming on for me and giving it his all. I think I've just read now Mount's out of the weekend. I think he's picked up an injury, which has done Ten Hag a massive favour, because Ten Hag would have played him. And I'm not going to lay the blame at Mount with this. It didn't work against Wolves, and we've just said before we come on live here, Mazar, you must be flying. But then again, it was only Wolves. But if Wolves can come to Old Trafford and play us off the park and then get battered by Brighton, what does that say for us when we play a big, big, big side? Do you know what I'm saying? There needs to be this realization that the system that he's tried to start at the start of this season, it's not working. It's not working. He's basically making Casemiro look like he's 10 years past his sell-by date by essentially leaving him to try and do the job of 3 midfielders. This doesn't work. The formation of trying to allow Mount and Bruno to push forward and do the job of 2 10s, that cannot work in the Premier League. And for me, what I will say is that's naivety. And I mentioned this last season, Errol. Do you remember when you absolutely battered us 7-0? That you won a cup for that, didn't you? I think the way you went on about it. But anyway, it was the naivety, wasn't it? I said, going to Anfield and trying to play the way he did, the substitutions that he's made. Martinez, for me, I tell you what, I will say this. Martinez, for me, doesn't look like he's recovered from that injury properly. I think he's rushed himself back to be ready for pre-season, played too many games in the pre-season, which is why the fitness isn't there. My problem is Varane, obviously. Varane's looked okay. I think Varane's looked okay. I think he's probably one of the only back four that can come out with any credit. Then there was the hints of the Saudis coming in. And my honest fear here, right, is if they were to sell him, say they come in with 60 million, which, it's hard to turn down 60 million for a player of his age. 60 million, my worry is we'll spend that on something like a midfielder and we'll shut up shop with keeping Maguire and signing Johnny Evans on a free. This isn't right. This isn't right. I said this last week. The business we tried to do in the transfer window really, really ramped up with outgoings the last couple of weeks. That shouldn't happen. We should have known where we wanted to be long before the season started. Imagine if Little Forest gets something. Oh, fucking here we go. If I want a Brian Clough impression, I'll come to you, Dave. I'm talking football here. The transfer business should have been done weeks ago, and yet now we find ourselves in silly season for Manchester United. We have been linked with everybody. The Greenwood situation yesterday, I don't know if any of you saw the statement that was released by Manchester United. For me, that is embarrassing, because essentially what they're saying is, we believe him. We believe he's done nothing wrong, but we're going to let him go. Well, if you believed him, why are you letting him go for the starters? In saying that, the work I do with mental health, I deal with domestic abuse a lot, right? Domestic abuse, I'm not saying for every occasion, but most of the time, the victim will always try and get the accuser out of trouble. And I think that's where this has come from here. It's just an absolute mess on all fronts at Manchester United. And yet again, last season, if we thought we had messes to deal with last season, we are now on the 22nd of August and we've got a whole bunch of fucking messes to deal with. The Anthony situation off the field, that could blow up into something much worse than the Greenwood situation. So essentially, United are flying by the seat of their pants again. No clue what to do on the field, no clue what to do off the field. At the moment, it is a living nightmare. LB, Errol, go.
So all I want to say is, basically you've come round to my side in it. You know what I mean?
Sort of, almost.
Can I just clarify, Dan? Right, last week when we had that conversation, I wasn't saying that Ten Hag needed to leave. All I was saying was that I'm seeing things and I'm identifying things on the football pitch in last season and already this season that I think are red flags. And you've just mentioned a lot of them there. The Casemiro one, I still think, I don't think anyone's talking about this enough. Casemiro against Wolves got hung out to dry. And that is the fault of Erik Ten Hag. Because we all watched it. You could see it after 15 minutes. That was Erik Ten Hag's fault. You know what I mean? And the players, should Garnacho started against Spurs, he was absolutely shocking against Wolves.
He's an impact player, LB. That's what he should be utilised whilst he's still learning his trade. He should be coming on at the end, gaining his minutes there, attacking teams when they're knackered. You can't start him at the moment. You can't do it. It's not fair on the lad. It's not fair on him.
Yeah. So it's like I say, bro, it's not that I'm not even saying that Ten Hag needs to be sacked from Man United. I'm just saying that there are a number of red flags that I think have not been raised or highlighted because of the trophy win, the the final against Man City and the top four. I think they're just sort of like just hiding some stuff that I think are red flags.
I think the beauty of this channel is we get to, what I tend to do every day after this, I rewatch it and I look at what I've said. And you've got to be big enough to take the criticism. You have to. You have to take on board the comments that come at you. Obviously, I'm going to back Ten Hag.
Like Lawless does. Like Lawless does all the time.
I always do.
Of course he does. But at the same time, you've got to look at it from an outsider's perspective. Sometimes, as a fan of a club, you can have your rose-tinted glasses. We've all been guilty of that, Lawless. But at the same time, you've got to look at the bigger picture. And I do love him and I do back him, but at the moment, if he continues down this road, questions will start getting asked quicker than I think even he would like to admit they will. The other thing I will say is, I don't know if you guys watched him as much as I did last season when he was in the press after games or before. Very bullish. This is how I want things done. All overnight, he's almost turned into a sort of Errol, a Glazer sympathiser. Well, I'm happy with the preseason. Well, I'm happy with the transfers. Well, I'm happy with this. Well, I'm happy with that. The one other thing that really, really worries me is Ten Hag, I guarantee this, wanted Greenwood back. I guarantee he wanted Greenwood back. He saw a player there and he saw a project that he could work with. And I think he hoped, I think he prayed that the good graces that he had from last season would have carried that forward, but it's not. And I think he has to be accountable for this decision of Greenwood going on as long as it has. You can chuck it all on Arnold, you can chuck it all on Man United, you can chuck it on the fucking cleaners if you want, but the manager will have had a say in this, and the manager will have been asked what his thoughts were on bringing him back. So it's one of them. It's naivety, I think, and I think he's got a long way to go in Manchester United. Any Manchester United fan, and I saw so many of them over the summer saying, well, that's it. We've won a cup. We've got top four. We're going to smash it. You've got to have realism in this football league. What works for you the season before will not work for you the season after. The Premier League is a constant evolving beast, and it will keep evolving. And if you don't fucking stay with the times, and you don't back your shit up and prepare yourself, you'll be found wanting. And that is what's happening with Manchester United at the moment.
Can I? Sorry, I was just going to say, Dan, just grab the yellow and green scarves, mate, and just go out there and show them.
Get them out.
Get them out. Get the Glazers out, mate. 400 million, is that all they're giving you? That's outrageous, mate.
Ridiculous, mate. That was what I was going to say about Ten Hag, and you were talking about the players coming in, all the rest of it. That they're his signings. He would have wanted those players. And yet again, for another transfer window, another summer transfer window, you've spent a lot of money and you're still having the same problems. Like, there's something, not with yourself, Dan, but certain sections of your fan base, they argue that, the signings are not enough or not enough's being spent, or, you know what I mean? It's like not enough on wages, whatever it is that they moan about transfer related. You guys have had more than most. You guys have had more than most, and you're still in this position where you're talking quite negatively a couple of games into the start of the season. At what point at what point is the manager or the people behind the scenes are going to take responsibility for that? In particular, the manager, because now this is ultimately two summer transfer windows that he's had, and I'll be honest, but I think LB summed it up perfectly. Like, you haven't progressed at all, and LB used those red flags, and there are massive red flags already at the beginning of the season.
I think. Oh, sorry, Aaron, go on.
No. First and foremost, thank God that Man United finally came to the senses with the Greenwood thing. I think we can all unanimously agree that. Not even as a banter thing, matey, here as well.
It's embarrassing, though, Errol. It's embarrassing, mate.
No, I don't agree, Errol. I don't agree that they come to their senses.
No, they haven't.
You're telling me that leakage of last week of them apparently agreeing to have him back wasn't pushed by the club. You're having an absolute
no.
I'm not by the club in the hope that the response was going to be less negative than it was. And I tell you what, I think Dan's absolutely right. That if it wasn't as negative as it was, I think Erik ten Hag would have had him back just like that. So I don't feel sorry for Man United at all, and I don't see it as they've made the right decision in the end. No, they haven't.
Do you know, Pete, who I feel sorry for with this? I feel sorry for Greenwood's missus, because what they've done in this statement is they've vilified her. Whether they've meant to or not, they've vilified her. And I think that is a dangerous game to be playing in this situation. Dangerous game.
Yeah. No. And I wasn't suggesting for 1 second that they've handled it correctly. It was just more a case of finally the pennies dropped, and Mason Greenwood can't have a future at Man United. And again, not even on a banter tip, it's good that Man United are able to separate themselves from that as well, because he would have been a massive distraction to whatever you were trying to accomplish, achieve, build for this season, and it would have dragged you down. And I don't think it was something that was ever going to be just kind of swept under the rug in any way, shape, or form. And I know how tribalistic and horrible fans can be. So any opportunity to really go for the jugular, you would have had fan bases all up and down the country giving you stick for that all season. And then obviously the attention is turned to the fan bases that then you've kind of got to condemn for that type of behavior. So I'm glad all round that's kind of been, a line's been drawn under it. I think the problem with Ten Hag, and I might be overstretching here, so don't forgive me, but correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't look to me that he's done his homework on the English Premier League enough.
I agree.
What I mean by that is, you've seen managers come into this league a couple, year in, year out now. And some of the things that they're able to either identify and do with the people behind the scenes is work out what type of players under what type of budget is probably going to be the best fit and best profile for what they need in the moment. Now, my argument is that he's went for a couple of players that he's worked with in the past. Now, not to say that Martinez won't become a good player and won't be able to fit in and be an integral player into what Man U are able to do. But you look at someone like Anthony that worked for all intents and purposes, and what he had going on in Ajax, it worked well. He was someone that he could rely on game in, game out. And he's tried to just say, right, come over here, come to Man U, work with me again. We've got that chemistry. You're going to hit the ground running, fit in this team. And now he's almost shoehorning him in, game out, as it seems, as you've suggested, even though he's not really delivering the output that's required. Now, when you add on the outlay that Man U spent for someone like that, and how much time you wasted last season trying to get him through the door, and you ended up having to pay over the odds all over again. You're sitting there thinking, well, realistically, Brighton have been in this position before. Villa have been in this position before. Even the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, West Ham, City done it with the young lad that they got, Alvarez, definitely Newcastle. They're picking out players at the minute that they know, whether or not they're paying 50 mil or they're prepared to pay 25 mil. They're getting what they need from that player more often than they're not. Man U seems to be so lopsided the other way, where you're paying what you think is premium money for a premium player, yet you can't get a consistent run of games. You're struggling to get a tune out to some players that, by right, should go on to be your either marquee signings, or they should be your talisman, or they should be the guy that grabs a game by the scruff of the neck. And so many of them are so devoid of confidence to be able to...
You know what, Errol? The other thing is, Dan, the other thing I wanted to ask you was, this happened last year, didn't it? I think it was Brighton and Brentford, and it went to pot, and everyone was laughing at you. And then I think you're on this show saying, I think we'll get top four, and that's why we all laughed. So I get that it's not end of the road, blah, 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 end of the world. However, last time you went and bought Casemiro after that. You went and had the Ericssons and the Antonys and Martinez's, Malassias, I think it was. Now, you're doing this again, but you've already bought Mount. You've already bought Onana. You've already bought Højlund. I know he's obviously injured at the moment. You've still got Casemiro, who, by the way, was just left to die yet again by Bruno Fernandes and Mount. So that's what would worry me is like, hang on a minute. I bought these players in here. I know we still need more, but we're looking like we need about 7 or 8 more at the moment, not 2 or 3 more. And that would worry me, Dan. Like it would.
So, and to add on to that, just there quick, the issue that you and many other Man U fans have identified is you usually get 3 windows. Your manager gets backed for the first 2, and then that third window that you go into.
He didn't get backed in the second one, mate, did he? January, he didn't get anything. We got Weghorst on loan.
Well, normally 3 summer windows, but again, yeah, you could argue that sometimes it's the January.
He'd walk into your side now, Dan.
Right now,
I'm joking.
But when you keep it though, this time next year, if things continue, and again, as you said, he'll start to get asked a lot more questions. He can't have a season based on this type of form, up, down, without questions being asked. But say he's in the same position this time next year, he's getting to Europe, whichever competition, he's in Europe again next year, but there's not been that progression that LB and Potts have kind of identified.
Yeah.
Will the board trust him? Or at that point, are you just hoping that there's been an ownership sale at that point and you're getting tired of it? Because you'd have to look at the money he's spent, the players he's brought in, the lack of progression, and you think they're not going to trust you again with another 200-300 mil to get players in.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
So I'll try and get all 3 points in there. The first one being the whole Greenwood situation, just to end what you were saying there, Errol. Last year, I was on this show and I said that Ten Hag had to deal with the Ronaldo situation. He had to deal with all that. I cried about that. You all had to listen to that. This year, Ten Hag doesn't get that from me. He doesn't get he's had to deal with the Greenwood situation, so we've got to give him some a chance there, because he was a big part of that problem. The Greenwood situation should have been done June. It should have been gone. It should have been done and dusted. So he doesn't get any time from me about that one. With regards to the signings, the one thing I will say about Ten Hag is, yes, he has identified these players, but unfortunately, I think, as we all know here with Manchester United, we are terrible at buying. We do not buy like clubs like you guys do, like Newcastle, for instance, right? Newcastle and City. I'll bring them both up. The world knows that Newcastle and City have billions. And when I say billions, I mean they are rich. Have they been held to ransom over transfers to the extent that Manchester United have for the likes of Anthony? Have they? Because what they do, I bring Arsenal into this a little bit as well. In fact, I'll bring all of you in.
Do you know what it is that though? When you got money, you can walk away because you can spend your money in the next shop.
That's the issue, and this is what I'm going to say. This is what I was going to say. Manchester United, behind the scenes, the likes of the Richard Arnolds, the Ed Woodwards, they haven't got a clue what it takes to be successful in a transfer market. And when I say successful, I don't necessarily mean the players coming in. I mean how much you pay for these players. Your teams will say, if you're not accepting this bid, we're off. We're off. And 9 times out of 10, that club will come back to them and go, okay, we'll accept. Okay, with the exception of the Liverpool Caicedo thing, that's not a dig. With the exception of that, your clubs normally get it right. Manchester United, we literally don't know how to negotiate for players. We spend far too much on players. We end up paying over the odds, and then wonder when it fails, i.e. Maguire, i.e. Anthony, how have we spent so much money on these players and how are they failing? I can't hold Ten Hag accountable too much for that. I get that he is probably saying, bring me that player at all costs. But I think when he's saying that, the board are taking that so fucking literal and they're going, whatever they want, pay it. We cannot keep going on like this as a club in business.
Now, just quickly on that though, just to touch on that though. But if he's saying, because for example, when he first come here, he raided the Eredivisie. He went in for Anthony, Lisandro Martinez, and Malacia, right? So that was a red flag for me, because that's like he's coming in, he's gone, oh, I'll just raid back that league. He's not really expanded his horizons too much. And Casemiro, let's not pretend that was a high IQ. So if he's gone to the board though, Dan, and said, get me these players, what about if they're the only players that he said? Because they're the only players that he sort of looked at. Which
we can't
makes
know
sense.
that, no LB. We can't know
Well,
that.
come on, he's come from Ajax and then he raised
And
three
what I will
players.
argue with that is the Anthony deal. He wanted that done as soon as he come in. It was the board that fucked that up, and it was the board that made us wait and wait and wait.
You had to pay an extra 15, 20 mil for him.
Exactly. Ajax said in June, if you want him, you take him now. We want 60 million. The deadline passed. We ended up going back in August and paying 80 million. It's a joke. I get what you're saying, but I think we've seen this not all the time, but we will see a lot of managers who will go back to where they're from and bring players that they know of. It doesn't just happen at Man United; it happens all over. But I will add to your point, and I do agree there has to be a degree of utilising your scouting system and going out there and getting players, not that you just know, but players that you think will fit for Manchester United. And at the moment, we're not seeing that.
Does that mean he has a plan B though? Because as you say, if you're prepared to walk away, it's either because you know you're happy to spend your money elsewhere, or the player's not worth the value in what you think that the selling club wants. In some instances, you could talk about Liverpool and Lavia. We didn't want to meet that evaluation. Whatever happens, then he goes down the road to Chelsea, or it's because your other team or the other, the buying club have got a list of players. So if we can't get them for X, we're going to move to get Y for this instead. Man, you seem to just be so fixated on they're the only ones, and that's
I agree.
Yourself in the foot. If they're the only ones, they've got to come in and be on job from day one. They can't come in and block the whole season.
Errol, I'm with you, mate. Martin Garner in the chat has got it banged to rights, completely banged to rights. We do come across as desperate in the transfer market. Clubs know that when we come in, the second they pick that phone up, Man United, and they go, lads, how much is he valued? 20, right? 45. Fuck, they're going to pay it. They're going to pay it. Can you believe it? That's where we are. The other thing I will aim at Ten Hag is the whole Mason Mounts signing. Not the fact that we brought him in, but I could have gone around all of you last season at the end of the season and said, where do United need to be strengthened first? Where did they need to get strengthened first? Up front. Simple as that.
Obvious.
We wasted a whole fucking month going for a centre midfielder. Instead of making sure this Rasmus Højlund deal, you're telling me that couldn't have been done by the end of June? It's a load of bollocks.
Also, Dan, no, is Rasmus Højlund the answer? I don't think he is right now. He's maybe one for the future, but that's what I really understand about Man United at the moment. I feel like you're not even the players you're getting for the future. Let's say Rasmus Højlund. Is he even one for the future? Like, does his stats suggest that he is one for the future? Probably not. I know he's still young, and of course anything can happen. He could turn out to be an unbelievable player. But I just feel like, even the ones you're getting for the future, or even the ones you're getting for the now, I just feel like it's all going wrong in terms of the talent identification. It's just baffling to me. But
I mean, with Højlund, look, I said this on my channel. I got absolutely battered for it. For me, regardless of the fee that we paid for him, he's 20 years old. He's not. Look, in life, you have one Messi, you have one Ronaldo, one Haaland, one fucking Gascoigne. You have these players that come in and do what they do. Højlund, at the age he is, should not be coming into Manchester United, and fans should not be expecting him to bang 30 goals a season. I've said on my channel, if he can get between 15 and 20 in the league, I would be over the fucking moon. That would be unreal. But we cannot put the expectation of a Haaland, of a Ronaldo on this kid. He's got to come here.
Or not, though. Whether you like it or not, you might not as a fan, but the price tag and the club, without no other support around my man in that area, they have put that pressure on him. So I hope he's got big kahunas, because if he has, fair play to the kid. Do you know what I mean? Because I think anyone will look at it and think, any of our young strikers, and you think when they've got to lead the line for the club, the size of the clubs that we all support, it's a big task. But Man U's head and shoulders above all of us. They're meant to be best in class. They are meant to have, from front to back, top 5, if not 10 at a push.
10 years ago, mate.
It's easy to say that. It's easy. It is easy.
The last 10 years have proved that that's not the case.
I know. It is easy to say that. But when it comes to strikers, even when Liverpool was shit, mate, we still had some ballers up top. We still had one or two people throughout the years where you could always say, the rest of the team, the spine might be broke, but we've got someone that'll lead the team, someone that can carry us. As a result, the pressure is going to filter down to him to be that guy. I know Rashford takes a lot of that mantle in this Man U team, so I think it's fair to say he will split that with him anyway. And
that's what I was going to follow on with. And I think, look, it's not. We have to see what happens with him. I agree with everything you're saying there, whether we like it or not, that the pressure has been put on Rasmus Højlund to come in and fire. And if he comes in and doesn't score in the first 5 games, I really hope to God that the fans out there don't start asking questions. He's got to develop as a footballer But do I still think we'll finish in the top 4? You bet your fucking ass I do. I still think we'll do it. I still think, look, as long as the season goes on, silly season is in, we have to just wait and see. We have to wait and see. I will stand by my prediction like you did with yours, Errol, finishing second, and we'll see how we go from there. But it's one of them. It's one of them.
Anyone think United will continue to struggle, or do you think they're gonna get it right and go for a Champions League spot?
I think they've regressed, Dan. I think they're going to regress. I think they'd be lucky to get in the top 4. They're saving graces. They might get that 5th spot and get like the backdoor way into the Champions League next year. But I look at City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Newcastle, and I just look at them and I just think that they just look like more balanced teams. I look at United and I just don't see a team there. You know,
LB, do you agree with me? I don't think they look fit either. I don't think they look fit at all. I look at City. And even sort of just grinding out the wins you grinded out, you looked 10 times fitter.
Yeah, I think there's loads of stuff, Dan. So I look at the players and I don't think they know what they're doing, to be honest with you. Not for them. And I think that could be a coaching issue as well. I'm looking at them and do they really know what the patterns of play they meant to? I mean, this is another thing that I raised last week, Dan. The fact that you're over a year in to your managerial stint and we're still not seeing a proper detailed style of football at the football club. That is unacceptable.
I do agree unacceptable. With that. I do take that. I take that because I watched a lot of football over the weekend, and even in the games where I saw teams losing, you could see what they were trying to achieve. Other than Everton, you could see what they were trying to achieve in phases of play. Whereas United, it just looked like 11 individuals out there just doing what they could, and it was bad.
I'm sorry, I almost want to feel sorry for you, but then I remember you're the Man U fan, and I think, fuck.
Don't you dare, Errol! Don't you dare feel sorry for me, mate. Because when you start coming down, I'll be there, right there, to fucking pick you back up and throw you to the curb, sunshine. Don't you worry about that.
The one thing I'll say about Man U is that you talked about them in the way in which they play, and the fact that at times they look like they kind of don't know what they're doing or where they're at. I'll be honest, I'd put that on the captain. The captain should be leading the way, should be setting the example. He was the wrong captain for you. He might be be your most influential player, maybe.
I'm glad you said
that. He hasn't got the attitude to be able to be your captain. As a captain, you've got to set the tone for your attitude and the way in which you play. And there's the amount of times you talked about players not being fit, the amount of times that high up the pitch, Bruno Fernandes loses the ball and everyone's tracking back, having to run further than him to be able to recover the ball. It's not good enough. He should set the example on the pitch, and time again, he does. One other thing for you is that you talked about Anthony quite a lot. And said he's not good enough, and he isn't. He's not. He's just not a good player at all, in all honesty. But what the fuck has happened to Jadon Sancho? Like, surely he's a better option on that right hand side for Man United.
I've been saying this. I've said it, mate.
He's been poor as well, though, Pete. He's been poor as well.
I'd much rather have him on that right hand side than Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony's a clown, man.
He's at least got some creativity about him to be able to spark something.
Yeah, but Pete, Ten Hag has to accept that he's got it wrong then. And does he want to accept he's got an £80 million signing wrong? No, I think he will persist with Anthony as long as he possibly can, because the moment he drops him is the moment that people turn around and say, hang on a minute, you dropped a player that you just spent 80 million quid on. So that's his problem. You know what I mean? And this is why I said to Dan last week, I'd take all the transfers off him and just say to him, you're a coach. We'll sort the players out. We'll get a proper director of football in there, and you just coach the players. Because clearly his talent ID is not good enough. Onana was an easy buy, not putting that down to anything special, and so was Casemiro.
Casemiro wasn't his signing either, was it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, but even if it was, Dan, it's not like, he's on football.
No. What I'm saying is Casemiro wasn't. It wasn't like he went out and said, I want Casemiro. That came out of nowhere, didn't it? So I see what I take. Look, I take.
No to Casemiro, Dan. He was the best in the world in his position at that point in which he was signed. He isn't now, but he was. So how is he going to say no to that?
Let's be honest, Pete. Yeah, the only one really this sort of summer I'm looking at here, he really put his foot down on was probably Mason Mount. I actually feel sorry for United in a little bit when it comes to the striker position because there isn't really anyone out there. So they kind of had to gamble on Højlund. There wasn't who else could they really have gone for? Like they had to take a gamble, but Mason Mount was the only really one that he's put his foot down. And like I say, Onana was an easy signing anyway. Everyone, if you're looking for a guy to play out from the back, Onana's your man.
But what about Kane though? Kane he could have got for what was 100 million. He went to Bayern, 190 million, whatever it was. Why did you just not go to Man United? No, but Man United.
I agree, Maz. But they would have wanted 130 or something. Tottenham for his Man United.
Yeah, wait, if you're paying what? How much was Mount? 65. Mount is not. He's not worth 65 million. So if you're paying, you might as well. Harry Kane will bang you at least 25, 30 goals. You guaranteed. 25, 30 goals. He plays in the Prem. He's proven. You know what you're going to get with him. Why would you not spend the money?
Yeah, I know.
I agree. I agree. I just don't.
Listen, I totally agree. I don't know if they. I mean, if that was ever realistic.
Would they have sold him, Dan? Would they have sold him? That's the thing. We'll never actually know. Maybe United rang him up and was like, "Yo, we'll bid for Kane. We'll bid 120."
I think they did earlier on in the summer, LB, though, didn't they? And they were told swiftly to get stuffed. I think that was the report.
We'll never know.
He's never going to go to anyone else in England, in my opinion.
LB's right though, man. There's no one out there. There's literally no other striker out there that Man United will go right. That's guaranteed 25 goals. So you're right there, and it's not just Man United.
I will say this, and I said this a few weeks ago, and we all laughed about it. But it wouldn't surprise me if we're knocking on a West Ham door or something for someone like Danny Ings as a loan deal. I'm telling you, it wouldn't surprise me if United do a loan deal like that. If we can bring Weghorst in, we can bring anyone in.
You're not a big club anymore, then, are you? That's basically what Man United are saying. We are just going to go for the. We are desperate again. How many times have Man United done this? They bought that Igalo. They bought Weghorst. Just go and get an all-striker.
Iggy
and Weggy. Like, honestly, man, I don't get it. Man United are in the mud at the moment. I'm sure they'll pull themselves out of it. They've got a couple signings left in them, in my opinion, which I believe will be a forward and a midfielder. But I don't know. I just see a lot of gaps, if I'm honest with you. I really do, man. I really do. You can take a breath now, Dan. You're done.
That wasn't as painful as I thought. I thought, in fact, LB, thanks for going easy, mate. I appreciate that.
Well, yeah, I think he said what he wanted to last week.
We're only 2 games in. Like, the longer you stay in the mud, the harder it gets to get out. So,
Errol, mate, honestly,
you that shuffle right
you just remember, mate, you don't play Bournemouth every fucking week, pal. Okay, you've got other teams to play.
We'll come to Liverpool.
Don't you be doing that fucking jest because you beat Bournemouth, sunshine. You got fixtures to come, starting with this weekend when this man, oh, there he is, up there, and his team will slap you to fucking shit.
I hope you're right, Dan. I'm not gonna lie. I hope you're right.
Oh, mate, it's clipping. We might have to clip that up, Sam. I have to clip that up. Lawless, you've been very quiet, mate, waiting patiently, which is unlike you, to be fair.
Well,
and,
there's like 8 of us. We'll be here all night, fucking talking about the shit show that's Man United. You know what I mean?
Well, like, yeah, this is true. I mean, we could be.
And listen, I'm not one of these duckers and leaves early. You know, Errol will sit there and he'll run the fucking clock down, having his opinion about Man United, and go, "Oh, sorry, lad, I gotta go." Oh, really? Maybe we could have got the whole fucking show in if you just, you know what I mean? If you know you got to leave early, you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
I'm good. All my responsibilities for the day are taken care of. You've got my undivided attention.
All right. Okay, we're good then. We're good.
Well, let's talk West Ham, because I did say thank you for Declan Rice, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But you guys absolutely smashed Chelsea, which I didn't see happening, but I'm glad you did. And it was quite nice to see Moises Caicedo.
Declan who? Declan who?
Yeah. How long are you going to say that for, bro? Let's not go there.
Didn't you not want Ward-Prowse though? Or was you want it? Did you say?
No, I didn't say I didn't want him. I said the signing doesn't excite me. I said I'm happy to have him, but I'm not against it. But it doesn't fill me with excitement.
Boy, did he slot in!
Hey, how good was he? And that was an unbelievable. Like that. These set pieces are crazy, aren't they? Like that. What a absolute peach that was. And then Paqueta as well. Like apparently he had a tenner on him to get a penalty, so he's buzzing after that relay. Going mental because he's just potted another couple of £1,000. You smashed them, Lawless. Fair play to you.
Yeah, no, it was a great result. And yeah, Ward-Prowse, like, you don't understand, like, seeing Bowen's a great player, but seeing him on corners has been painful to watch. Absolutely painful. Our set pieces have been a shock, absolutely shocking. And seeing someone like Ward-Prowse, the delivery that he can get, the assist for the second goal with Antonio, just the vision to pick out that pass. Yeah, I think it's a tidy signing. Do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna overblow it, but it will suit us with the players that we've got. And like Maz said in a group chat, Set Piece FC, we're back in business. So yeah, like it was, like I said, like for us, listen, we did not miss Declan Rice in that game. And I just look at it, maybe that's what we needed. Maybe we needed more balance. Maybe it was just too much focus on everything trying to go through Rice. Now we're a much more balanced side. And it's true.
So David Moyes in then?
No, listen, and I'm going to say this because this is what Potts, right? He's so predictable. As soon as I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? You guys want to talk shit about West Ham? Guess what? We just got the win. He's like, oh, Moyes in now. I said at the start of the season, I'm giving Moyes time. I said, look, I would prefer we went in a different direction. But
what season? You said that last season as well. So what season are you talking about now?
What do you mean? I'm talking about this season. What do you mean I said that last season?
It's just like as a parrot from last season.
What did I say last season?
I'll give Moyes time. He's won a trophy. Now you wanted him out back, not even a week ago, you told me you think he's got to go because he's not good. Now you want to give him time again. I can't keep up.
When I said I want him to, I was still saying I'm giving him time. Like, if it was up to me, I would go in a different direction. But I'm not going to call for his head until I see how things progress. I'm going to give it time because I've accepted that he's here. So I'm going to give him a chance.
Lawless.
It's just 2 games.
Lawless, you know I can't remember the director of football's name. What's his name?
Tim Steidten.
Does there seem to have been a bit of an impasse there with him and Moyes now? Because these players that you're bringing in, they seem to be. Are they his signings? Because I didn't see Moyes going out looking at these boys.
He's like, is there any way we can get back in for Maguire and McTominay? What's going on here? He wants the scoop. Listen, them transfers are done. I see you popping out the other day. Listen, forget about it. I think they've reached a common ground. I think maybe the relationship breakdown between them was overblown. And they've found
Moyes lost out. That's what's happened. Moyes has lost and then realised, okay, they have to take it over to old Timmy boy to sort out the old game.
Moyes lost, but West Ham won.
Yeah.
You know, we've just announced the signing of Mavropanos.
I thought that was cancelled.
No, that was fake news, mate. Fake news.
Oh.
We've announced it.
He was all right when he was at Arsenal, you know. He was actually all right player. Wenger never really played him. And was it Emery, actually? I think it might have been Emery. Never really got him into the team at the time, which was mad because our centre-halves was shocking. But actually, I quite liked him.
He was quite young, wasn't he, when you had him?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was young.
So, like, to me, that's better. I'd have him all day long over Harry Maguire. I don't want that just toxic waste of space anywhere near my club. You think you're good enough for Man United and you can contribute and break into the starting 11, you do it, mate. You crack on. You stay that, we'll stay over here, yeah. And there were people...
Who's your centre half pairings now, though? Because Aguerd's just been sent off, so he's out now. So we got Zuma and who?
We got Zuma, Mavropanos, or Aguerd or Kura. So those are our options for the Brighton game.
Oh, Kura, he's so overrated.
Yeah, they probably would have got beat with Brighton anyway, Dan, regardless of who played at centre back. To be honest, I don't think that really matters.
Well, goal difference is everything. Like, really, let's be honest. You know what I mean? You can play up.
Got a lot of confidence going into this one, in Lawless.
Do you know what? Yeah, the thing is, I don't hate Brighton as a club. I just hate. Think it's ridiculous, man. The fact that they can't ever just let us have one. Do you know what I mean? Like, one win. Yeah, we slapped them 6-0 in the championship. Like, get over it, right? Yeah. Just fucking let us have one win.
That's Tay, wasn't it? That's Tay hat-trick.
Yeah, yeah, I was there, man. It was a thing of beauty, and I thought, wow, the good times are here. And little did I know that they'd never let us live that down. And yeah, so I would play the kids, but goal difference. But look, there's good players in the side here. You know that we've got. Paqueta is staying now, so Paqueta is staying. Man City are moving on because of the whole thing. He's probably going to get away with it. The betting scandal. He's going to be cleared. There's not enough evidence, even though the bets were made from Paqueta Island, apparently.
Tony's furious, isn't he? Tony's living.
Flawless.
Yeah.
You could safe to say that was a big statement on the weekend for West Ham. Yeah. Is that a standard now? Is that like a level that's been set, or is that a flash in the pan? And that's not even like to dig you out on it either. Like, would you want this to be the next step forward for West Ham now, or is it literally we were just better on the day and we made Chelsea look like schoolboys?
No, like, I mean, I think it's, to me, I feel like we're getting.
You was confident going into it. You texted and said, "Yeah, I'm confident."
Yeah, I was quietly confident. I mean, it's a London derby. We turn up for these games. I think that we've got the nucleus there of a decent side that's capable of, taking it to Chelsea. And I think Moyes is getting back to what he does best, right? I don't like it personally, but if it brings results, great. Moyes, last time his assistant manager had a completely different philosophy to him, clashed heads. Before that, and he was a manager in his own right, Mark Warburton, and before that, Ed Stewart Pearce, all these big characters. He seems to have got rid of that, and he's promoting coaches from within, from like the youth teams and stuff like that, where, Moyes is a sort of guy, it's my way or the highway. Now he's having these sort of youth coaches where he's not going to clash. There's no big personalities. And I think that was a big problem we had last season. He seems to be doubling down on the Moyes way, which, like I said, as long as we win, great. We could have got a result. Bournemouth, our big problem seems to be scoring a goal and trying to sit on it. Do you know what I mean? And see that out. And that's what undone us at Bournemouth. And now it almost undone us here. But listen, Areola, Dan Potts, wash your mouth out, my friend. Areola stepped up.
What?
You've had a lot to say about my guy Areola.
What was so great then?
What's so great? He saved the fucking penalty. That's what's great.
Right.
I can't beat that.
So what argument of the season is now right then? What you've just said, because he saved one penalty in 2 years.
He saved the penalty and had a great performance. He made some great saves.
He also got 10 points in FPL. So
10 points in FPL.
Wow, it must be bargaining a century then. Like, surely that must be bargaining.
How much did Harry Ramsdale get? You know what I mean?
Harry Ramsdale.
Harry Ramsdale.
What did he get?
Also,
who does that FPL?
Also, who doesn't have an Areola as well? So
what? What's that?
Yeah, I got that one, Maz. I like
cheers,
that.
Mate. Cheers. At least someone.
No, but listen, and I think we've got the nucleus for a good team. We just need to strengthen. On it we had Alvarez come on as well as a sub. He looks good. Alvarez is looking good. That is the Declan Rice replacement. I'm liking what I'm seeing. And I think one more midfield, we just get that balance right. I'm not getting carried away. I'm not getting carried away, but you guys are quick to write.
Doesn't sound like it at all.
You guys are, you know what I mean? Getting quick to write us off. Really quick. When we did that prediction, I'm the only one that had us in the top 7, right?
You in the top half. I thought that was kind.
Oh, you thought that was kind, did you?
Yeah, I thought it was kind. Yeah? I gave you 10th. So you take that, wouldn't you? That's
getting carried away, yeah. Scraping wins over Nottingham Forest, and
hang on, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute.
I'm just saying, like, you're sitting there, getting carried away. As it stands, right? We just beat Chelsea. You spent £1 billion on their squad. £1 billion.
This is the problem with you, Lawless. Every single week you do this. Next week when you lose to Brighton by 4-1, you'll be calling Moyes out.
No, because I fully expect it. No. Right. It's gonna listen. We're just writing that game off. I'm just gonna go there. I'm gonna do my watch along. It's gonna be vibes. I swear to God, if we beat Brighton, I will tweet Moyes in. I will say Moyes in.
Clip this.
Lawless, if you beat us, I reckon you might win a league.
I think. Do you know what? I would back it. I might put a bet.
I reckon you should get down to bookies. If you win, go down to bookies and slap at least 20 quid on West Ham to win the league.
I think I might, because honestly, that would be unbelievable. Build him a statue if that happens. I swear to God, we beat Brighton. But all I'm saying is, look, I don't get carried away. But what I want is some credit on this damn show. yeah, I want some fucking flowers, yeah, some tulips, some roses.
Lawless. Everton have won more games in the past 31. Have won more games in the past 31 Premier League games than Chelsea have won.
How many trophies? That's what I'm going to say. What's this about? Listen, this is Poch era.
I don't think Chelsea won anything last season.
Talk about Caicedo, your boy, Maz. Your boy, Caicedo. Oh, my God. The guy that Poch, by the way, in the group chat said he's better than Declan Rice. Let's have that out right now.
No, listen. Listen, one game does not define a player. We all know that. As much as we want to kill him, as much as we want to banter him, we all know it was a bad cameo. Awful cameo. Awful. He was shocking. But, come on. You can't base the guy on 20 minutes of half an hour of football. You all know how
it was a disaster.
Lawless, you'll remember this of all people. When Declan Rice was stepped off that pitch at the Amex, what did he say in his post-match interview about Caicedo?
Listen.
Okay, there you go.
Sorry, wait a minute.
What did he say? What did he say, Maz? What did he say?
He came off the pitch and was like, I've never faced anyone as good as Caicedo. But basically, he was like bigging him up, going, that midfield battle with him was like another level. Like if Declan Rice, who
you know what else Declan Rice said? He said up the raw and then went and signed for England. So Declan Rice says a lot. Declan Rice
that was a low blow. That was low.
Well, look, let's not judge Caicedo too quickly. I know how good he is, and he will come good eventually.
He weren't good enough on the day, though.
No, he wasn't. He
cost Chelsea the game.
He was awful.
You don't need to defend him, Maz. He's not your player anymore.
No. Look,
you know why it is? It's because now your selling the players is in jeopardy, man. Because people are going to see what's happened to Caicedo. I'm like, nah, it's a scam. That's stupid, yeah.
Caicedo and Cucurella in 2 seasons.
All sales are final, all right? There's no.
That
no
tweet
receipt.
was absolutely unreal.
Yeah. There's no receipts.
Do you know what though? Am I the only one who thought that was a bit out of order, Brighton? Not to Chelsea, but to Caicedo. They've basically mugged Caicedo off there.
Definitely not. He tried to leave twice in 6 months. He said he was gone.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
You give the.
Go on. What were you saying? What do you mean?
No, I'm saying they give the nice little farewell and good luck and all of that stuff. And then you mug him off when he has a bad game.
Who mugged him off?
Brighton.
No, that was a fake tweet, bro. That was photoshopped. It was it was a Brighton Twitter account that tweeted it, and then someone photoshopped the official Brighton page as.
Oh, fair enough.
That was fake news. But no, look, Caicedo, he was brilliant for us. He was unbelievable. Last season, he was arguably one of the best midfielders in the league, and then. Look, we got 115 million for him. Like, come on, how can we be upset about that? 150 million in the bank, and we're still doing all right. Do you know what I mean? So
maybe he just got West Hammed. You know what I mean? He just got West Hammed. He come to London Stadium, yeah, and boy, he had his big boy pants on, and guess what? We sat him down. Like, you know what I mean? This maybe it wasn't him, it was us. Do you know what I mean? But they've got so much expensive talent in that team. And they're just crap. Like Mudryk is a pile of shit. Like he's all movement. Yeah, no end product. No end product at all. Sterling was the only player who can come away with his head.
The lad in the first half as well. I thought Lawless, the one that come off. Chuck, what was his name? He was.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a banger of a goal.
Yeah.
He's got a. But listen,
I thought West Ham were good, man. I thought West Ham were good, and listen, I thought Chelsea were crap. Don't get me wrong, but I actually thought West Ham were pretty good, and I thought
we went down to 10 men as well. You know,
I know Antonio gets a lot. Yeah. I don't know Antonio gets a lot of stick, man. But Antonio, to be fair, when he does want a good game, he can pull one out there. I know you need a new striker.
First half, he was anonymous, but he stepped it up in the second.
I thought he was wicked.
Like Souček was the same. Second half, I thought Souček was solid. I really did actually.
Yeah, that's what the thing is. Souček, when we was backs against the wall, down to 10 men, like it brought out the best in Souček, right?
Yeah.
But like I had so many idiot fans, West Ham fans, doing their revisionism because I said at halftime, get him off for Alvarez, and then we go and win the game and he has a good performance when we went down to 10 men to say, oh, see what you said we should get him off. I didn't anticipate us going down to 10 men, did I? Because I said in the stadium, shit, we've gone down to 10 men. Because Alvarez was getting ready to come on and Fornals. And Fornals, by the way, we got to keep that guy, honestly. He's unreal, but he could be going. Like, I don't know, man. I feel weird. Like, I don't know how to feel because I felt so pessimistic coming into this season. 4 points from Bournemouth away and Chelsea at home. I'm feeling good. Look, we write off Brighton. Fuck them. Let them have their fucking poxy 3 points that they want. Go and have them, choke on them. I don't care. Right. Then we look to Luton and Sheffield United. Yeah. Who knows? You know, if Man City are coming to our stadium, we may Chelsea them. You know, they're a very expensive team. We may reduce their value too. Who knows? But Luton and Sheffield United.
Clip that up as well, Sam. Clip that one up as well.
I see what you're doing. What you're doing, you're playing this like reverse psychology where you're basically trying to manifest a win for Brighton and then you're cursing us with your West Ham juju. That's what you're doing.
I knew we could do it. I knew we'd spank them.
Yeah, I see your game, mate, Lawless. I see your game, Lawless, mate.
Listen, Moyes might be hit. I mean, I envisioned a bad start. Yeah, we've got 4 points. We're undefeated in the league, and if we get another 6 points, like from our next 4 games, I'm not gonna argue with it. I'm not gonna grumble with that.
6 points from 4 games.
Yeah, we got
2 wins.
Brighton, Man City, Luton, and Sheffield United.
So you want 2 draws from Luton and Sheffield United?
No, you
What
want
did I
2
say? I
wins
said
from
6
that.
points.
6 points from 4 games. Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're going to write off
2
City
losses.
and Brighton.
Yeah, so we'll beat City and Brighton, lose to Sheffield United and Luton. You know what I mean? That would be so West Ham. I will say that. Yeah.
That probably would, man.
I'm not
Just
gonna
lastly, haven't heard anything from Matisse, man. I hope he's all right. I haven't actually heard anything from our group chat. There's no London's Club Carnage, Lawless. So I was looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
I was like, what's going on? He didn't even say,
man.
oh, no show this week, lads. He can't run. He can't
He's just
run.
left it. You can
Listen,
save that one, man.
How
a bit
many
like P,
people,
innit?
by the way, had Chelsea in their top part, in their top 7, all this stuff, right? Now put,
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, and not West Ham.
I still think they'll come good towards the end of the season. I think they've got a lot of new players being integrated. I think they'll come good.
Look, and what did I tell you, by the way? I want you to remember this year when we was doing this prediction. I tried to remind you all, yeah, because you all think it's going to be business as usual. And you all think, oh, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, all that, all just going to be all back to best, business as usual, flying high, and it's just going to be, top of the table, the usual. I said, no, that's not how it works. What we have learned is that these teams fall off. You know, there's a lot of this going on, yeah. So, yeah, I know where your face is doing there, Errol. I tried to remind you. You just thought, oh, how are West Ham going to get up there? Because Liverpool are back and Man United are back and fucking Chelsea are back.
You
and
just gone from Welsh to Manchester.
You know what I mean?
I'm not saying nothing.
Worst Welsh accent I've ever heard.
There will always be a surprise team, but it'll never be West Ham.
Manskins.
West Ham are not going to surprise us this season. As I say,
well, it's a surprise, Errol. If you could fucking predict it, it wouldn't be a surprise, would it? Eh? You know? So you just sit there, get your popcorn out and watch, because we may just surprise you.
The moral of the story is listen to your mates, i.e. me. Keep your powder dry. Things might not be so bad. In 2 or 3 weeks' time, things might be look a bit rosier. No, they won't. Boys out. Get rid of this board. We're selling rice and paqueta. And now
listen, I'm waiting. My powder was dry, but listen, I've got to call it how I see it. Yeah. And if I see some bullshit, I'm going to call it. But at the same time, I am not, I've always said I'm not going to call for Moises' head, right? At the start of the season, I'm going to give it time. If we go get slapped by Brighton next season and next week, and we get slapped in the next game, I'm going to go, well, let's see. All right, I'm going to see. Get the players in, give it some time. Once we get to October, let's assess where we are. That's what I'm saying, yeah? So far, so good. Just don't sleep on West Ham United, yeah? East London.
We won't, mate. We won't. I'll put you in 10th. I thought that was kind, personally. Anyways, so.
Could be foolish.
Pete and LB. Pete, you put your chest out last week. You said you're going to go and take the game to Manchester City. I did not see the game. I've literally just seen the goal. That was all I've seen. So I need you and LB to explain what happened on this game. I saw the result. I was obviously disappointed with the result. But let's start with you, Pete. How did Newcastle play, bruv?
Not the way that I expected them to. there was a clear game plan from my perspective from Eddie Howe, and I said this to the loaded boys as well. It was almost like to kind of set up to contain in the first half, then counter attack in the second, until a point. Up until the goal, it was kind of working. There weren't really any clear cut chances up until Alvarez scored. It was a great goal, by the way, fantastic strike, in my opinion, and it was enough to settle the game. Really, we had chances in the second half, counter attacking, but as I tweeted out after the game, I said just poor decision making, in my opinion, let us down when we had opportunities on the counter. But it wasn't how I expected us to kind of come out and play, but ultimately, Man City were quality. They picked it apart. Certain individuals, Foden in particular, picked those little gaps in midfield, in between midfield and defence, and destroyed us. And the kind of quality we're coming up against. But for me, I'm not kind of disappointed or frustrated or annoyed by it. It is what it is. Like a lot of people have said on the panel, it's only 2 games in. We've got a big game on Sunday. A great way to hit back with 3 points. Sorry, Errol. But it is what it is. But yeah, it wasn't how I expected us to kind of come out.
LB, did you see any shithousery of trying to get a point, or was it like fair play and Man City were just better, bruv?
We were clear, and I can't believe how well we've started this season. Like, we have literally just carried on from how we've left off. But I gotta say, Pete, I messaged you this. I was disappointed in Newcastle, man. I thought you guys were poor. I really thought you was going to come to the Etihad, man, and make us properly work for it. And I know people will say it was only 1-0, but in terms of the game, I think we were so clear, man. And I don't know. I was disappointed. I really thought it was going to be so good. Starting, because we heard the news about all our players being injured. We basically had like no one on the bench. And I was worried, man. I thought, you know what? This could be the year that Newcastle finally beat City at the Etihad. And I thought you was poor, you know. And listen, I still think that you was an okay team and you were balanced in that. But I thought it was a real opportunity to, again, set another sort of statement out there like you did the week before against Billy's team. But yeah, man, I just didn't see it. I didn't see that creativity. I thought the midfield, Joe Linton, our midfield, yeah. Because our midfield was it Rodri, Kovacic, and Foden. Yeah. I thought that midfield battle between them three and obviously yours, which was Bruno, Joe Linton, and Tonali, would have been a lot closer than it was. And I just felt that Tonali, I thought, was nowhere really to be seen in the game. I thought Joe Linton struggled as well. And yeah, I've got to say, man, I was disappointed. I really thought you guys was going to come and make it a tough game, and maybe we'd be talking about our Newcastle in the title race. But nah, I thought you was poor, bro. I thought you was poor.
That's your talk. That's your talk. That's not ours. We're not talking like that.
Yeah, you don't have to talk about it, though. I'm saying that as a City fan, you know. I thought you was going to come to the Etihad Stadium and make us really work for it.
No, and that's what I was hoping for. Like on the Race for Europe last week, I said I'm excited about this game because I wanted to see how we were going to kind of approach it and how we're going to go for it. I thought we were going to be how you're explaining, and I think I said it on your channel as well. But there was a clear game plan. It didn't work, but we were still in the game. We still had chances, even at 1-0. We had opportunities. We created moments in the second half. It was poor decision making that let us down. And I'm not going to bag on about individuals because on Newcastle social media, there's been a number of stuff been said about certain individuals.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And Bruno hit back today and then deleted it because, it's only a small section, but it is what it is. I'm not going to hold individuals to an account with regards to a performance against arguably the best team in the world right now. I'm not going to do that. I don't think any of our teams would do that the way that Man City are playing. But it wasn't the way I expected us to play. But there was a game plan there that potentially could have worked. You're right. The individuals that you mentioned that didn't have good games, they didn't have good games. But it's just one game. It's just one game. Some of those individuals that you've talked about were the catalyst to why we got Champions League football. And am I going to hate on them after one game? No. I fully expect those boys to hit back, and I fully expect them to be motivated and bang up for it, especially after the first game of the season against Villa. Like Villa hit back, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second. There's no reason why we can't hit back.
There was a lot of ghost performances, though, wasn't there? There was a lot of players out there that I thought really should have stepped up to the big stage, and they didn't. They ghosted, man. They did a lot of them. Now, I'm not saying it's just a major issue or it's a red flag, because it isn't. You come into the City Stadium, you know what I mean? Not many teams get anything from there, but I just feel that, did they lack something? Did they lack a little bit of courage, a little bit of spirit? And by the way, if the answer to that is yes, then that's not like an embarrassing thing, because like I say, it's difficult to come to somewhere like City and get a result, but I just felt that was a missed opportunity. That's why I'm saying these things. I ain't saying it to cook. I ain't saying it to banter. I'm saying it because for me personally, and whoever else watched the game, I just felt that was a missed opportunity for Newcastle. That's why I'm saying it, bro.
I don't see it as a missed opportunity.
It was a missed opportunity, Pete. Of course it was.
Not for me. Not for me. Look, you're gonna see it that way because of the way the game was built up. We're 2 games in. We've had Villa. We've got yourselves. We've got Liverpool next. We've got Brighton away after that. We've got a tough start to the season. I don't see it as a missed opportunity. I see it as an opportunity to see where we're at as a team going to the Etihad, a team that we've already talked about. I can't even remember the last time we even won there. I think the last time we won there was probably when Alan Shearer was playing in 2005. We haven't won there for so long. But I agree with you. Certain players didn't play well. But I'm not going to hold them to an account. I'm not going to say, I'm really worried about how they performed in that game. I could equally arguably talk about the fact that Sven Botman was outstanding and actually kept Haaland in his pocket all game. And Fabian Schär and Kieran Trippier. In fact, the whole back five I thought were fantastic in that game, and actually limited you guys to very limited amount of chances in the game. I could also talk about that. But yeah, you're right. Certain players in the midfield, whether you talk about Joe Linton, Bruno Tonali, Isak was a little bit quiet, but he was very isolated. The gap between him and the midfield was massive, and he got overran by your centre-backs who were very, very good. I'm holding my hands up and saying those things happen, but that doesn't define Newcastle United. It doesn't. Right, we can quite easily go back, and I hope it's the case, and put Liverpool to the sword on Sunday. And if we do that, nobody
is that Liverpool. Is that our Liverpool?
Newcastle, no, it's St James's Park. So no, if we go and win on Sunday, nobody will be talking about the Etihad. It will be gone. It will be erased from memory, and then we can go on and kick on with the season. But for you, I think you'd kind of built up Newcastle going to the Etihad and all the rest of it around it. And I get that because of your injuries and all the rest of it. But in my mind, I remember you guys are the best in the world. You guys have got an elite squad of players. Yes, so many players aren't there and were injured, but you still had a team that on its day could probably beat any team in the Premier League. And that's the thing that I remember in my mind. And I'm looking at that, and that was the way it was. It's as simple as that. We could have caused you trouble. We should have caused you trouble. Certain poor decision makings were poor, but equally, look, it's not the end of the world for any Newcastle fan, and we move on.
Pete, just a quick one there. Lisa makes a good point in the chat. She says that you gave City too much respect. I think especially in that first half before the goal went in, I was watching. I thought defensively, the lads looked like he was all set to soak up as much pressure as possible. They looked really like switched on, which is always a good sign to see. I think, we'll probably touch on it, how contrast that is to a Liverpool defence at the minute. It only takes really one attack to kind of cut right through us. But you just seem to be dealing with wave after wave for so long. Do you feel that trying to get the out ball was probably the problem for you on the weekend, and maybe that was too much respect and kind of relinquishing the ball and control to City just allowed them to kind of get into their rhythm a little bit? You didn't really do too much to disrupt their rhythm of play, if that makes sense.
In the first half, I would agree with you. Okay. Not in the second half. In the second half, we had more of the ball in their half. In the second half, we caused them more problems on the counter-attack. We had 2 or 3 really good openings where it was 3-on-2, 2-on-1 situations, and we just didn't make the most of them. We made the wrong decision. We on our channel, we talked about Callum Wilson. He goes through it, and I had it down as a great tackle by Gavardio, but he could have gone to the right, and him and Miguel Almiron would have been clean in on goal. There was another one for Miggy who was clean in, and instead of going forward and going into the box, he turns back onto his left, which fans get frustrated about, and the move broke down. There were opportunities there for us in the game, and that was particularly in the second half that we didn't take hold of. That's poor decision making.
That second half of the game, think about where City had been midweek. It was Athens that you were at, LB. It was somewhere in Greece.
Greece.
Yes,
I'm not holding them to that, Errol. Like, you can talk about them being in Athens. They do it every week. Champions League.
But mate, they do. In that second half, those players. They're not able to change the squad as much at the minute as LB said with their injuries.
I'm not holding them to that. No chance.
But that's the reality.
Every week,
players will hold themselves. They'll know they will have been running on fumes at some point in that second half. That was
at the beginning of the season, Errol. You're having a laugh, man. They've not even been deep into the season. You're telling me that that Man City would have been blowing, having played in a Super Cup midweek when they're about to take on a Champions League, Premier League, Champions League, Premier League up until December. Those players are primed and prime and ready for that. They've done it. They've won the Champions. They've done the treble on the back of that. I'm not using that as an excuse. It might be an excuse.
They've had less rest than anyone else, and let's be real. This Man City, as we've seen, start slow usually in the league. We ain't seeing peak Man City. You didn't lose to peak Man City.
As LB said, he's been impressed with their start of the season. So maybe it's changing. I don't know.
Or maybe you were just shit. I'm just saying.
Lawless, I knew why you were coming in here. You were trying to chip in just to get a little bit of a rise. I get it.
No, Pete, because you know what? It's the positivity, the just relentless, and the fact that Dan or an Errol sat there and pointed at me about rose-tinted glasses. You are the rosiest of rose-tinted glass fans I've ever met. And you're spinning narratives and all sorts. I'm just saying, okay, right? You lost. A lot of people lose there, but come on, man. Let's just a bit of balance. Yeah.
So, Lawless, I'll ask you.
Give it a go. Do you know what I mean?
Be honest with me. Now. What are you expecting me to say right now after that defeat?
You should have competed more. You should have competed more. That's what people are saying.
We didn't show ourselves to be the oil tycoons on the level of Man City. You know what I mean? You're arrived now. You're not little old Newcastle. You're not Mike Ashley Newcastle anymore. You know, the plucky underdogs. No, put that out of your mind. Yeah, you can't throw your chest out 1 minute and then put it back in the next minute. Once the chest is out, it doesn't go back in, mate.
My chest hasn't gone anywhere. This is the second game of the season, Lawless. Remember that. You might be.
I'm not asking you to have a meltdown and call for heads.
That's absolutely fine. But as you kept reminding us, week after week after week, it is a long season. Things can change over the course of that season. So I expect there'll be times that we'll be on this show this season that I'll be sitting here very, very happy, and you won't be. So I'll just remind you of that. I'll be very happy to remind you of that when the tide turns, maybe next week, maybe the week after. Who knows?
Yeah, but Pete, if you've got to beat Liverpool now, because if that midfield three, doesn't perform well against Liverpool at the weekend, then you got a serious problem because they got that midfield three ghosted. I think Isak didn't impress me at all. I think there's pressure on Newcastle to perform.
Because they won the Champions League 5 years ago, so Newcastle can't be expected to, be.
This is it. This midfield three is one of the best in the league, man. This midfield three is one of the best in the league. You got to start holding. I know it's only second game in, so I'm not grilling them too hard, but I'm saying if they ghost again against Liverpool, that's 2 games in a row against big teams they've ghosted against. You've got to hold them to higher accounts. I'm getting it. Yeah, this one game is against the best team in the world. That's fine. But if it happens again against Liverpool, I do think genuine questions have to be answered because they were so poor, man.
I'll be the one to ask those questions. And we'll be on here next week and I will be asking those questions.
Clip that, Sam. Clip that.
If that's the case, you can clip it all you want. You've had plenty.
Pete, do you notice how I haven't said anything? Because last time this happened, you absolutely destroyed me with your bandy. I've just kept well out of this.
To be fair, I've made my point on Newcastle. Like I say, LB's made a good point. You know, if if they don't show up at the weekend and they equally have as bad a performance as they did on Saturday, then yeah, maybe that's.
I think LB's being harsh.
Not being harsh at all. Look at that midfield three.
Quickly go the other way.
No,
and that's what I'm saying.
Not fair.
That's
not a fair comment, man. I'm not.
It's one of them.
It could be a very different situation.
Yeah, but LB, how many teams have come to the Etihad and you've walked over? Like our midfield, our whole team was pants over you.
You can't just keep on saying, "Oh, you go to it." The fact is, that team is one of the weakest Manchester City sides we've had in a long time.
What did you say last season, though? In order to beat this City side now, some of us teams are going to have to grab them by the scruff of the neck and we're going to have to pull them down to our level. So if that means for a game, you've got to pull them down to your level at Newcastle, or Arsenal got to pull them down to our level, or West Ham, I've got to hammer them. Whatever it's got to take in order to get to from City. No, but we've got to. Like, that's the reality. Otherwise, City will continue to do what they've done year in, year out. They will.
I get that. All I'm meaning is, listen, I didn't see how bad Newcastle were, how great City was, right? But all I'm saying is that anyone could. Man City beat them 1-0. They can beat anybody 4-0, 5-0. It's what Newcastle do in the next game for me. And if FLB says they were shocking, and they're shocking against Liverpool, then maybe we have a point. But I think we need to allow that to happen first. I think Tonali, Bruno G, and Joe Linton will have unbelievable games. I think there's a brilliant midfield there for me.
But you know what it was like? It was like when one guy, these two men are the sugar daddies of the Premier League. Do you get me? That's what they do.
It's going to be another one of your analogies. We're going to have to
let me land it, yeah, because LB is used to the chip and pin. Either his payments don't bounce, whereas poor Pete over here, yeah, he was trying to use contactless and he's not used to his black card yet. And that's what happened when he turned up at the Etihad. He turned up, he tried to buy the thing a drink, and he got declined. And that was it. He got sent packing. And that happens. It won't be the first time and it won't be the last. But just know, going forward, you're going to have to be accountable for what's in the bank, Pete. And you've got to bring it in all the games, because Lawless is there. He's already keeping receipts. Sam's clipping it. And if you're saying Liverpool, I've heard you mention Liverpool so many times. We're going to bounce back. Perfect time to bounce back. Liverpool it is, but we're not going to get rolled by just over anybody. No, not anybody, and everybody's just going to roll us.
He's talking about you like you're Everton, you know. You've been downgraded to Everton, you know. Oh, yeah, perfect week, get it. Got Liverpool rolling up, yeah. Claims the loss with a nice little slapping of Liverpool.
Look. It's always an exciting game, whether it's at Anfield or at St James's Park. It's always good. It's always, and this is what I mean. It's going to be a big game regardless. Both teams are going to go at it. I don't particularly think Liverpool are going to hold back. I think they're going to go for it, but I equally think that we're going to go for it. And that's why I say I think it's going to be an exciting game in a perfect way, that if we do get the win, it's a perfect way to hit back. And that was the point that I made. I'm not saying we're guaranteed the win. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying if we get that 3 points on Sunday, that's the perfect way to hit back. And the point that I made is that if we win on Sunday, nobody's going to be talking about, certainly Newcastle fans won't be talking about the Etihad. Everyone would have moved on by then. And the narrative changes, and it's very, very different to what people will be talking about Newcastle at this point. Like, I've been at the Etihad. I was there when we were conceded a penalty after 50 seconds. Werner and Anita, we also got spanked 5-0. We've lost 6s there, 5s there, 4s there, 3s there. We've been
that's a different team. You can't keep on talking about that. It is a different team.
What I'm saying to you is that I've seen that. If it was that type of performance, I would completely understand what some of you have said on this panel. For me, like, it's not the end of the world. If we go on a run where we lose the next 3, 4, 5 games, then it's a different conversation.
I agree. It's not the end of the world. All I'm saying is City's team there, we played 2 days earlier in Athens. We had no players on the bench that was worthy really of coming on for that type of game. And in my opinion, it was a opportunity for Newcastle to really put a statement down. You got one of the best midfield trios in the division. Everyone knows how good your defense is as well. The midfield three, in my opinion, ghosted. Alexander Isak ghosted. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm just saying it's a missed opportunity. And they, in my view, they need to now beat Liverpool. Otherwise, questions will be asked.
Opportunities come and go in the season, though. They just do. Villa had it last season several times when there was an opportunity for us to push into the top 5 or whatever it was. Opportunities come and go throughout the season. Losing to the best team in the world, whether it's the best team at the minute, and that 11 that you put out is the best team in the world. Obviously not, but you can't knock Newcastle for losing that game. And yes, it was an opportunity to go out and beat Man City and put up a statement performance again. But you're returning to St James's Park, the cauldron that is St James's Park, against the team that they're going to be up for it for. You know, Eddie Howe's probably going to be getting into them and saying, show these fans what we should have done last week. And they'll turn up. 100% they're going to turn up. I don't think they'll steamroll Liverpool, because I don't think many teams can steamroll Liverpool. But I think they're going to put up a top performance. And it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if they did go out and win that game.
Fair play, Billy. Fair play. Well, let's talk. Go on, Dan, quickly, mate.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Pete, obviously seeing this, does this make you appreciate the job that Klopp did all those seasons when he was trying to attack City? Does it make you appreciate the job he had on his hands? Because I know Errol obviously beats the drum about that.
All I can say about Klopp is that he's a prick. I told you, Errol, your manager needs to keep our name out of his mouth. So I used to respect that guy. Not anymore. Right? He talks too much shit about too many other clubs, not just ours, other clubs as well. Nothing but a prick. That's it.
Was that the Tyndall comment that got you, Pete? I thought that was good chat, to be fair.
No. Hey, look, I was at the Fiorentina game in the pre-season. It ain't even affected. All we've done is move the managers area, whatever technical area up, moved it further up, and Eddie Howe just stands 5 yards back. They're still together, makes no difference, but they're just not in the technical area. So, it was all kind of built up to be a massive thing. It really, really isn't, and they still spend most of the game together, so it's not really effective. But it's not even about what he said with regards to that. I didn't even care. But he just at the moment, Klopp just got too much to say about all of the clubs rather than his own. He just needs to focus on his own club and just stop chatting about others.
Vote for Pete.
Facts, man.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Errol, you can't defend, mate. I don't understand what's going on, bruv. The first 15 minutes was a shambles, mate. I can't even lie. It was embarrassment. Alisson, great goalkeeper. Don't know what he's doing. Back line, don't know what they're doing. Well, you won the game. Don't get me wrong. But that's got to improve, mate. And you've still got no holding midfielder. You bought this Endo guy. I don't know much about him. I imagine he's probably going to do a better job than what Alexis McAllister's done, which wasn't a red card, by the way, which has now been rescinded. That was a crazy decision. But do you not worry, mate, that you've still got the same frailties as last year? Like, nothing's improved at the back for me with Liverpool this season. Like, I looked at Chelsea, I looked at Bournemouth now. I think LB was chatting to me about it. I was just, what was that, man? Like that. What were they actually doing in the first 10, 15? Because that could have been 2-0 down within like seconds, really. It was poor, man.
Well, I'll let everyone else give their 2 pence first, and then I'll probably.
Oh well, LB, you start because you messaged me, LB. You were like, "This is a shame."
I watched the game, man. And yeah, it was a wild one, to be honest with you. The first 5 minutes, I've never seen anything like that from like a club at that sort of level ever. I mean, it was almost as if Liverpool were doing it on purpose, Errol. You know what I mean? It was wild. Eventually they settled down and their attack sort of got them out of it. But yeah, I mean, they're serious. They need to sort that midfield out, man. Listen, I don't know this Endo kid. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna chat on him, but you need to go in the market and get someone, bro, because I just think your whole season, it's kind of wild, but I do genuinely think your whole season is just on that centre defensive
resting on this.
Yeah,
man.
I do. The whole thing. Yeah.
Billy, Maz, Liverpool at the back, shambles.
I like it. I know you just mentioned McAllister, obviously, as an ex-Brighton lad. I think he's decent. Like, generally, if you can get someone in, like you mentioned, if you can get someone in alongside him, not to use the old unlocking of, we talked about Pogba getting unlocked with someone else, but trying to get someone to sit alongside McAllister, because as you saw with the pivot, him and Caicedo last season were brilliant as a two. So if you can get someone alongside McAllister, I think Liverpool, right? Obviously, going forward, I really like Louis.
I think the aim is to have to push McAllister further up. We want McAllister to play that left-hand side of the A for us, really, in an ideal scenario.
He's not that. Thing is, though, he's not that amazing going forward. I know it sounds a bit mental. like you'd think, is he good? What can he do if he's not that good defensively, or he's not that good going forward? But he's not like I wouldn't say he's a 10. I wouldn't say he's like that attacking midfielder that you probably want and need. But
I think what Klopp wants to try and, again, this is all speculation, and I think a little bit of what Liverpool fans are hoping for as well, is that he comes and does what Genie did for us before he left. And on that left-hand side, Genie wasn't the most progressive. The progression came down that right-hand side for us. Genie was the one that, even though he was the press-resistant one, the one that could find the pass and just keep it ticking over alongside Fabinho. So he would drop in as and when, but he was still able to be deployed there as an extra body in midfield. So I don't know if that's what we'll eventually get from him, but that's what I think a lot of Liverpool fans are hoping he can offer us.
Yeah, I think definitely that's what you need as well. But I think like LB alluded to earlier as well, your forwards, I think that's what's going to get you out of trouble. I know defensively you're not great, but I feel like what's his name again? What's his first name? Luis
Diaz.
Yeah, Luis Diaz. That's it. He's a baller, mate. I love him a lot. But then it's like you can only rely on Salah and him for so long, and then will your defensive frailties show? And I think that's what's a bit of an issue. But I like Liverpool. I think they're getting a bit of a tough time of it.
No, I don't think they are getting a tough time, Maz. No, I
think they are. Though.
No, I think the reason that they're getting this criticism is because they have a basis of a team that can compete for the league if they get this player that, let's be honest, they need a player who can just sit there and allow McAllister and whoever else plays in, who's the other guy you signed, Errol? Yeah, him, and let them do their job. That's why Caicedo would have been perfect, because he's so energetic, he's so athletic, and he could have just let them in.
The one thing about the two games that I've seen so far, though, LB, is, and this is where I will stick my chest out and say it, because I've half alluded to it already a couple of times. Even Caicedo, I don't think would have been enough. And that's the scary thing for us. And hear me out on this, Maz. What I mean by that is I genuinely think the issues that Liverpool have got cannot be fixed by one individual just turning up and having.
I agree with Errol. I agree.
8 out of 10 games for the majority of the season. I think fundamentally we're at a bit of a crossroads here, and the best way I can see it is Liverpool for a time, before we got Alisson, before we got Van Dijk, again the same issues were undoing. You could have great forwards going forward. You could beat teams. Your midfield could work really hard. But when you get that ball to that back line, he looked frail, he looked weak, you could get at them. There was always a mistake in a couple of the individuals, and the goalkeeper wasn't the best. Then you was able to bring in a couple of players, Alisson, Fabinho, Van Dijk. Those players, when they came in to kind of solidify the back end of that spine, they were transformative in what the team was able to do. And the style of play adapted over the course of probably 2, nearly 3 seasons, where we was able to play a lot more progressive, a lot more possession-based football. It wasn't so frantic and rock and roll and back and forth. And I think we're back at that same crossroad again, where in an ideal world, you want one player that can be transformative, but I think we've let it go just that other end of too far now, to a point where I'm asking the question of the system, because we're in a bit of a limbo between playing the 4-3-3 and this box midfield role where he's got, the double pivot coming into play. I don't actually know. The only thing you can really say about this double pivot situation, when we're in possession and when we are allowed to play a possession-based game, we're unbeaten. We haven't lost a game since before we played Chelsea in April. So there's been a couple of draws in there. I think it might be 4 draws, maybe 5 draws in there. But we've won a load of games. And I think we're 9 on the spin, or nearly 10 on the spin, without losing a game. So at times, we're doing enough defensively. The game management, from our perspective, in terms of in-game management, has gone out the window in the last 6 months for Liverpool. We've really struggled with that. And I think from our perspective now, I don't think one individual, especially if you're going to just put him as a linchpin and be that anchor as a 6, is going to be enough, especially in the market. What's left of this market?
I think it is, Errol. In a current system, as a starting 11, you can talk about squad if you want, but in a starting 11, I think one player in that CDM. Well, who else is not good enough in there?
No, I'm not saying about the talent wise, LB. For me, it's when I look at the what's available on that market now. There is no real player that we can realistically sign.
Not now, Errol. Not now, but that's why I think people are getting frustrated, and some Liverpool fans are getting frustrated, because they were players. Obviously, Caicedo was the obvious one.
I think, but then when we've seen how we played against Bournemouth and we've seen how we've played against Chelsea, I don't even think Caicedo still doesn't help us stop conceding the goals that we conceded over the last couple of weeks. Like, him on his own wouldn't have fixed those problems. Him on his own doesn't fix the defensive mistakes that Van Dijk's got in him at the minute. Don't fix the defensive mistakes that Robbo's had in him. Still don't fix some of the defensive frailties that people always level at Trent Alexander-Arnold. So even still, having that one player, yeah, you might be able to be a little bit more solid in midfield, and that might give the defense a little bit more of a bit of a confidence that they can go back to reverting back to type. But I'm still not convinced that that person is going to be the linchpin for the entire season. That's a big ask. And I said it to Dan before about having that person up top for Man U, to have someone coming. That's the most important position for Liverpool right now. And the longer we have these defensive frailties, the more pressure and how more important it becomes for Liverpool to get that position sorted. We could go weeks and not get a goal, but no one would worry, because you know at some point Salah's going to come good. You know at some point Diaz is going to come good. Until we've got that midfielder sorted, how good can Liverpool potentially be as a team? A lot rests on that individual. And I just think right now, with what's left in the market, we're probably asking too much. So my question to the Klopp, to the backroom staff is, what can be done with the system to get the best out of the players that we've got?
Well, it's going with this system, isn't it, though, Errol, of this sort of two holding midfielders. But I think that's a really poor system.
So I think in terms of, it's meant to give us more defensive stability. At the moment, it takes us half an hour to switch on and wake up to the defensive responsibilities. I don't think we're going to get away with that in games against Spurs right now, in games against Man U, games against, not necessarily Man U, games against Newcastle, games against Arsenal, City, even Villa and Brighton. They will punish us if we're not up to it. Brighton did it last season, blew us out the water 3-0, and the game was done. You're like, well, there's nothing you can do. At that point, once the game's gone, everybody's down in tools. I think fundamentally, I don't know if we're going to be able to do anything with the system, and I don't know whether we're going to be able to get an individual to fix it. But there needs to be a meeting of the two where there's a bit of balance. And again, Endo seems to be a bit of a horses for courses. He's got the experience. He understands the role inside out, like the back of his hand, and he can just be slotted in to it. But then the other side is, we're also going to need somebody else potentially who can be that into the 11, and we're going to need to tweak the system and hopefully have that person who plays it alongside Trent for a run of games, so they build that little bit of synergy between them and have a little bit of tandem. Because until you've got that as well, especially in a double pivot, you're asking a lot. You're asking a lot of both lads.
You've got 9 days. You've got 9 days, Errol. If you get this Inacio kid from Sporting Lisbon, let's say, and Decore, let's say, from Palace, I don't know you're going to get them, but they're the names being tipped at the moment. There's no reason why Liverpool can't go for a title, in my opinion. That's how close it is, and I think it's crazy.
The only reason I say I don't,
you don't think so,
because that's provided they come in and they suit this new system to the ground. If that happens, then yeah, of course, we're back to we're cooking on gas, and you think we're going to win more games than we're going to lose. We're going to be more resilient. We're going to be harder to beat. We're going to be harder to break down, and we're still going to score a bag of goals. But if those lads struggle, especially in that DM position, if he struggles and he looks like he's a fish out of water, then we're back to square one with saying, all right, well, McAllister can do it one game, and then maybe Thiago will come in and do it. Like, Klopp realistically needs that one guy that your fitness and your available means you're going to be the first on that team sheet, because that's the one position we haven't really got a replacement. So you're nailed on. And at the minute, he hasn't really got that guy. He's looking around and he's got options, but neither of them are the one that he would pick if it was all well and good.
Could Endo be that guy, though?
No.
No.
And that's not because he can't. I think it's because he's a horses for courses type of utility player. He will come in to see out certain games. He will come in to give people a rest. He will come in as and when we need bodies in certain places. And no, he's going to be the type of player that you don't expect him to drop below a 6 in a game. I don't expect him to drop bad clangers, but I'm not expecting him to be a
10 out of 10.
Yeah, the 10 out of 10, the guy that drives us forward. He's not transformative in that respect, but that's okay. For what he is, that's absolutely fine. Someone saying, we need a Rodri. I don't even think we need a Rodri.
Everyone needs a Rodri.
Everyone needs a Rodri, but there's a level of player that I think every team looks at and you think to yourself, you know what? They take us to the next level. I'm looking in that transfer market right now, DM-wise, and I don't honestly say that. I know we've spoke about Caicedo and we've done that to death, but right now, as it currently stands, this current climate, I don't have the confidence that there's a player available that has that transformative effect.
Well, you've been linked with Calvin Phillips, isn't it, Errol? You seen this?
I've seen it.
City are letting him go. City are happy to let him go.
I don't want him.
Bayern?
I don't want him.
It's a loan move, isn't it?
I think City let him do anything, Pete. To be honest with you, we'll let him loan. They'll sell him. I don't think
are they really not bothered about it?
Who is City going to use if Rodri gets an ACL? Kovacic. Wow.
And can I just say the last two things, obviously, before I give it back to you guys? The red card, the referee in it. I don't know what's happened this weekend. The amount of red cards that have been branded about. There was one last night, absolutely shocking. It's got to a point now where Women's World Cup, the refs were mic them up, or make them come up at the end of a match and answer for their sins.
They'll never do that though, Errol.
I know, but LB, I'm sick of it, bro.
Why? Because listen to what Errol's saying. That's why they'll never do it, because they'll just get cooked week in, week out, because they make so bad decisions. They're horrendous.
You know what it is though, right? So the way you say that, you're 100% spot on. But you know what they're doing to players on the pitch? The second the player goes up to them and challenges one of their bad decisions, they're giving them a yellow card, which says to the player, you're going to be held accountable. You're going to be held accountable for your dissent. So that means then there's a message going out to all of those fucking players that if you carry on, someone eventually will get sent off for saying something stupid. That means the players are eventually going to nip it in the bud. The same thing could be said if referees had to come out and answer for their sins. If they was getting it wrong week in, week out, and they had to be held accountable, we're getting cooked on fan channels, we're getting cooked on Monday Night Football, we're getting cooked all over the internet. Eventually, they would come out and start speaking sense, and the decisions that they would make would actually start to
but that's the difference, Errol. That's the difference, Errol. They would start making the fucking right decisions, and they'd start double, triple, quadruple checking that the decision's right. And that's what they would do, and that's why it needs to come in, because rather than just making a decision and going, I'll just go with what VAR decision, they're now going to have to double check it and go back to VAR and say, is it the right decision? Or you're going to see more referees go and check the monitor to make sure that it's the right decision, and rather than just let VAR get away with it and just make whatever decision they want. Because this is what referees are doing at the moment. They're just allowing VAR to ref the game for them and make the big decisions, and they shouldn't be able to do it.
Pete, as well, how dare Howard Webb, right, come out at the start of the season and said the two things we're going to focus on this year as referees is booking players for dissent and sorting out the time wasting. How dare he say that after the performances of referees last year? His 100% sole focus should be on improving refereeing decisions. And then once you've got that spot on, then you can start having a look. I think everyone on this panel would like players to stop giving referees dissent, but there's other things that need to be sorted out. And the refereeing decisions that this weekend were just abysmal.
Absolutely. They were. And that can't be the standard. At the end of the day, we're pumping out. I seen there was a debate before about the women's game and the sponsorship, and that's different. But seeing one of the comments get clipped up, and it basically said around the world, 4.6 billion people watch the Premier League as a product every single year. We are pumping out one of the best products of world football, and it's broadcast around the world. How can we have the worst? And maybe not be the worst standard, but to us, the ones that watch it week in, week out, it feels like we've got the worst standard.
It's Sunday League standard.
It's absolutely shocking. Nobody, to be fair, you don't want to be a ref in Sunday League because you know a lad can turn around and just lay one on you. But at the end of the day, these are millionaires that are giving you jib that go home with the air dryers and put on all sorts of treatments. These aren't hard men like they used to be back in the day. So if you haven't got thick skin to be able to take it from one of these modern day footballers, mate, you need to consider another fucking job. Because for me, being able to ref in the Premier League should be a piece of piss, especially with all the cameras and the technology that you've got at your disposal. It is not a hard fucking job to do. It's that you want to make it harder for yourselves. And by doing that, you are actually ruining the game and actually changing decisions that are actually impacting other teams' potential for where they may or may not end up in the rest of the season. Mate, at some point, something's got to give because it can't just continue.
You know what I think they should do, Errol? Yeah, I think they should have like a league table of referees, and it gets updated every week. And if you get to the bottom of the league, you get relegated to the championship, and the championship referees get promoted. And it's like, that's how you got to deal with it, man. You know what I mean?
That would have to be a private league, though. an internal thing. You can't be publishing that. Oh, fucking hell, we've got David Coote this week, bottom of the league. Imagine that.
Yeah.
I don't know. They need to do
That's
something,
true.
though, don't they? They need to do something because
It's horrendous.
They do need to do something.
horrendous.
And something else about VAR, this clear and obvious it just needs to be scrapped completely. And they go on about not wanting to re-referee the game. All I think we can all agree with is you just want the correct decision at the end of the day. Is it a penalty? Yes or no? Well, yeah, it is a penalty, but it's not clear and obvious. So we're going to stick with it's not a penalty.
But that was all fake news, though, wasn't it? That clear and obvious thing. That was a lie. That was an out and out lie.
The worst thing though is by far when they've got something wrong, and then let's say you lose points from it. Yeah, you either lose or you draw as a result, and then they come out and write a written apology. What's a written apology going to do? Are you going to get your 3 points back? Are you going to get your point back? Like that's what really.
That happened with us last year. Happened with Wolves already in the first game this year. Like, oh yeah, sorry. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, sorry that you drew 1-1 Arsenal. Lee Mason's been sacked. Oh, brilliant. Well, we're not going to win the game now. We've just got to lose 2 points. Thanks.
And that's the fine margins, Potts. That's the fine margins. Let's say you were really tight with Man City. I know you fell off a little bit last season, but let's say you're a point behind them, and that point is what lost you the title. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Everton game, they came out 2 days after the Everton game and said no, it should have been a penalty. If Everton get that penalty and equalise against City, and it's a draw, Liverpool win the league.
Yeah.
It's
mad.
Maybe.
No, and I get, but the thing is, though, Dan, and again, we all take it on the chin. We move with it, but at the same time, at what point does it stop so that there is that balance of fairness across the board and that everybody's getting a fair rub at the green? Because ultimately, you can almost guarantee that some team at some point, you say Wolves, but some point at the back end of the season, something is going to come back to bite the team on the back of the arse, and that'll be down to a poor refereeing decision. The last thing I will say about the Liverpool game as well, before you move on, is I've given Luis Diaz not loads of stick, but I've been critical of him, saying I want more out of him, more output. 2 goals, 2 games. His finish the other day was absolutely sublime, and he deserves a lot of credit. So I will go on the record to say big up Luis Diaz because,
going forward, mate, is not the issue at all with Liverpool. Going forward is not the issue. Let me tell you that. Maz and Billy going to ask you because time is getting on, man. I look at it and I think
this is like match of the day, mate. It's like how we come to 1 hour 40 minutes? And
man.
That's a shame.
We're just getting. It's like match of the day. It's like
Man United.
It's literally like match of the day every week, mate. Where we should be on at first, but we're bloody last.
You're never on first. You're always left last, mate. Brighton flying. Billy bounced back, mate. Massively bounced back as well. Everton, by the way, are shambles. I've got to say they look absolutely terrible in my opinion, right? But 2 very good results from you boys. Europe will be drawn soon. And West Ham, to be fair, I won't forget you.
First game tomorrow, mate. We've got our first game tomorrow.
Mate, you've got your
man. John McGinn derby tomorrow, isn't it?
It's the John McGinn derby. First game it'd be just shy of 13 years by 3 days. The first game in Europe in 13 years, and it's in Scotland. So get the passports out, lads. But yeah, I can't wait for it, to be honest with you. Most important thing now is just getting through this playoffs, so we're actually in the competition. This is just the playoffs to see whether we make it to the group stage, which I think is a little bit ludicrous, but it is what it is.
Please make sure, because I'll tell you what, if you do not win this game, Lawless will never let you ever come anywhere near this channel again,
it's a 2-legged tie.
Oh, it's a 2-0. We still got the second leg.
Right. You can beat them, mate. You can get a result.
It's going to be a tough game. We can't take it for granted. You saw what happened to us against Stevenage last season.
It's fucking Hibs.
You saw what happened to us against Stevenage last season. Stevenage. I'm not putting my chest out just yet.
You know what? We absolutely bantered Lawless last season, but every team he played, he said, "We're going to nail them. We're going to nail them." Billy, I cannot accept that answer that we'll do our best. It's fucking
You put yourself up there in the top 6 in your prediction table this season. West Ham were nowhere near it. Yeah, you want to sit here and do a
It's
piece
not all
and
about West Ham,
underplay
Lawless.
your card. Oh, we're the underdogs against Hibs. Oh wow,
I'm not saying we're the underdogs.
Hey,
for God's sake.
Lawless, he's been reading Pete's notebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, fuck off, Errol. Fuck off. Don't start with that shit. Don't start with that shit. Fuck off, man.
Billy,
you'll beat him, bro.
Billy,
Billy, I think we win the whole
yeah.
competition, man.
where it needs to be.
Say that again, Dan.
Has the match preparation been where it needs to be for Hibs then? Do you feel confident that the lads have been training well? The lads are getting the formation, the tactics.
Oh, mate. He
as
can't keep a straight face while he's saying that.
As long as they stick to this game plan, you can get through this. That's what I want to know.
Look, we've got Zaniolo coming into the frame for the first time, so hopefully he'll have his first minutes. But no, in all seriousness, of course we have to go and beat them. But we said that against Stevenage as well. So it would be very, very, very Aston Villa for us to go and lose this tie. And so that's why I'm keeping my cards close to my chest.
Shit team, yeah. That's what it'd be typical that you would just lose to a shit team because you're a shit team.
If you want to go there, Lawless, you could go there. We'll see where we both are at the end of the season.
Asking a question. That's what I'm hearing. I ain't got headphones.
I'm just saying that Aston Villa historically have crippled in important games.
Yeah,
I'll say important games. We've taken teams for granted. That's better. We've taken teams for granted. We thought, let's rotate against Stevenage, and look at what happened there. We can't take a game like this for granted at all. We've got to go out there and batter them in the first leg so we can chill out in the second leg.
None of this talk will save you, Billy. Like if you lose any of these,
I know.
Games, all of this little Stevenage, we're not hearing it, mate. You're getting cooked. I don't care about
Stevenage fans are saying they'd fucking smash Hibs. Come on.
I think you'll be fine, man. Honestly, I do.
Yeah,
I think I've tipped you to win the whole competition, Billy. I stand by it. I think
you didn't think we would win it, though, did you, Potts? So don't take
no, because
we're
a
better team than West Ham. That's why.
You're a better team. You're not better team.
Also, Lawless, you were playing in the Conference League, mate, not the Europa League, mate. Yeah.
Wait, what are you talking about? Where are Villa playing, man?
Villa are in the Conference League. Best.
Sorry, I get confused. I'm in Europa League, mate. I'm in Europa League.
I'm in the Europa League.
Confused, mate.
You got yourself out of that one quick.
The better team is in the Conference League, and we're the worst team is in the Europa League. Work that one out.
See where we are next season, Lawless. See where we are next season.
Let's see, innit? Just make sure
there's a lot of football to be played, let's say.
A lot of Hibs.
Just make sure you get a trophy.
Wait, hold on. So Billy, you're qualifying to get into the Conference League.
Yeah, well, to qualify for the group stage.
You got to qualify for the group stage. You got to qualify for the group stage.
Everyone has to this season, Lawless.
Oh,
you didn't have to. You clearly you didn't have to last season, so it was a gimme. Don't start on this.
Listen, don't talk to me because we're in the top 25 for European coefficient. We've got a bigger European coefficient than Arsenal. They can't even chat to us, when it comes to Europe right now. Do you know that, Pops? You know that? Don't do this bewildered face.
It's just a shameless thing to say, really, when you're West Ham.
European coefficient is a thing.
First trophy in 43 years, and you would think you were a City fan. I'm actually going to swap you and LB around in a minute and make sure that I'm aware that
European coefficient is a thing.
I mean, I'm sitting there. You've had one win. And now look at everyone's got to bow down to you because you're beating a Chelsea side without a striker and still putting a team together. And now you're coming at us talking about European trophies because you finally won a first trophy.
No one can ever question my place on this show again, because how many teams on this show have a higher European coefficient than West Ham? Yeah, Errol and LB's team, and maybe Dan's. That's it, right? So the rest of you, you're on shaky ground. Just know that, right? Don't talk.
Cook 'em, Lawless. Cook 'em, bro.
Yeah.
European champions, man.
That's what I mean. Champions of Europe. We know what we are.
Listen,
sit down.
It is a dog shit competition, but I hope you win it, Billy. See, not having this guy right down here giving it to everybody else.
I can't believe you can
split
say
your chest
that.
out as well.
Potts. I can't believe you can
What's
say that. That's a dog shit competition, bro. I can't believe you can say
What,
that.
the Conference League?
Yeah, I just think that's a bit mad. You never won the Champions League, have you?
Oh, come on,
Or
bro.
the
Come
Europa
on,
League.
bro.
I just
Are
think
we
that's a little
serious
bit-
now? Are we going to
Yeah.
go there, LB?
Yeah, I am going to say that, man. I'm going to say that.
It's pretty sad, isn't it? For someone who can't even win the
think so.
Europa League to sit there and shit on another. That's maybe your level. We ain't seen if you can win this Conference League yet. But
That competition is trash, mate. I don't care what anybody tells me. It's trash. I wouldn't want to be in it. But for West Ham, it's a good competition, man. 43 years without a trophy. You know, I said to you, I'll go for a trophy this year if I was you. You went, oh, no, it's about the league. You can't do that because you might finish towards the relegation zone. So don't go mental about trophies then if you don't want to win one.
Maz a question,
Lawless,
because
if you
listen,
hadn't had a
ignore
nut. No, if you hadn't had a nut in 43 years, Susan Boyle would look like the Holy Grail. So, just take what you should take.
and when have they had a European nut, eh? When have Arsenal had a European nut? Eh? Where's your European nuts?
I forgot
Where
she
is it?
existed, man.
Mate,
You ain't
I
had
forgot she
one.
existed.
How
Susan
you
remembered
remembered
her.
what you need?
Well,
that's class.
What the fuck is
94, man. 30 years since he
She's
won a European
a
trophy.
lovely
Too
lady.
long.
Should be great for Arsenal, yeah, Potts. So don't write off Susan Boyle because you ain't had nothing in a long time in Europe, yeah. So chill, just relax.
Susan
yourself.
Boyle. Susan
But
Boyle.
ignore what
can-
he said, Maz. Right? Listen.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Go on.
Obviously, you're in a. Have you got qualified for the group?
No, we don't have to qualify. We're in it, mate. We're in it.
Not Tim Pot like Villa. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in the group stages. Would you take dropping down into the Conference League, right, for a chance? Because listen, you'd be favourites, right, if you drop down into that competition. Sorry, Bill, but you'd be favourites, right? Drop down into the Conference League, win that, get back into Europa League with a trophy next season, or are you really? Would you take the gamble? Do you think like, you know what? Let's just go all out.
Do you know what? Yeah, I think I'll take the gamble 100%. I actually think we've got a really good chance in the Europa League. I feel like we're playing. I know it's only 2 games, and we've mentioned.
Why
it
wouldn't you? I agree. I think you're playing great. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, look, I know it's only Luton and.
This is the
Wolves.
mentality of a West Ham fan and to a Brighton fan. That's all I'm saying.
Sorry, the mentality, right? And I'm not even being disrespectful.
Drop down, and try and win it. Don't go and do the big competition. Drop down to the crap one. Try and win that crap one.
If the chance to win their first ever trophy, Potts, you're telling me that that's
Lawless. If we were to drop down, obviously I want De Zerbi to go tooth and nail to win any competition we're in. Obviously, like look, I shitted on the Conference League. I shitted on the Conference League for banter last season, but look, any club, especially of our size, will take a European trophy. Like, do you know what I mean, just to say you've won a European trophy is huge.
Exactly.
But yeah, look, I think I want us to go all out in Europa.
Your size. I don't need no Euro conference crap.
We'll go for the Europa League. We'll go for the Europa League. If we drop down to Conference League, of course, I would love us to win that and
to get your first ever trophy.
Yeah, 100%. We haven't even won anything domestic, like let alone bloody Europe. So yeah,
I'll take that off, right?
I'll take the Conference League in a heartbeat, mate.
You have that over Palace because Palace, you know what I mean. You'll say, yeah, trophy. You know what I mean. I'm just saying. I think that might be. But like you said, I think Brighton do have a strong contenders in this competition.
Yeah.
You know,
I think we got the squad depth now. I think that was.
Tell you what, Villa wouldn't want Brighton to drop down. I'll tell you that now.
No, they would not.
They wouldn't. Or they would.
Emery.
Listen, they can't even. They're not even brave against
Billy.
They can't beat Hibs.
Imagine Brighton.
Yeah, he's worried about Hibs. You can't even beat a bloody Scottish team, mate, let alone Brighton.
Can you picture it? We've just beat Hibs. Brighton and
Oh, mate.
It's like scene out the office, isn't it?
My chest will come out when we're actually in the competition. Not taking anything for granted at the minute.
You ain't even in Europe. What are you doing on your show? You ain't even technically in Europe, eh? What are you doing?
Potts, when West Ham get knocked out in the group stage, is that what's going to happen to Lawless? They're not going to be up there competing in the league.
But
we
you ain't
all
even
know
in Europe. You ain't even in Europe. So
we may be by tomorrow.
And we all know, right? By the way, this is a prediction, right? And he may go against I'm saying this. When they get knocked out of the Conference League, we're going to hear, it's a shit competition anyway. I don't care.
You won't hear that from me. You will not hear that from me because I will take any trophy, the Carabao, the Conference, the FA Cup.
Prestigious trophy it is, this one. It's the one everyone wants.
Give me a question if I'm having the FA Cup or the Conference League, and I'd take the FA Cup every day, personally.
Yeah, but
don't mention the FA Cup with Peter about. Don't mention the FA Cup with Peter about.
He's taking the Conference League.
He's taking the Conference League. Don't start with me.
Three is on one today.
I ain't taking this shit this season. I was the new boy on the block. Fuck off.
Oh, listen, man, we've been going on well.
I fucking want the FA Cup. I want the League Cup. I want it all.
If see Brighton start, I think it's going under the radar. If Arsenal,
let's talk about this.
Brighton had.
Let's talk about this.
Potts would be wanking himself into oblivion over it if that was Arsenal. Like, Brighton are blowing teams away. Arsenal was scraping over against relegation for it. They're serious. You know what I mean? We got to look at that.
I think. Look, I'm doing a Billy here, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I think it's only two games in, but the way we've played, and do you know what? As I've watched both games, I actually feel like we were a little bit under par, which is mad to say. I feel like we're not even hitting the heights that I know we can play. You look at Estepinian at left back, you look at Matoma on the left back. That left-hand side is just it's serious. Like, I think that left-hand side is a very dangerous combination for any team. But then, of course, there's some areas like Caicedo we need to replace. We need, obviously, to make sure, because like De Zerbi as well, I know he's going to rotate. You all saw like how Pedro dropped out after the second game. He scored against Luton and then got dropped. Like, it's going to be a lot of rotation this season. And I'm just
what's happening with the money then? What's he doing there?
We're buying a player called Baleba from I think he's from Lille, I believe, a French team anyway. I think that's going to be like 15 million.
Errol, go and get him. Errol, go and get him. Balbea, that's his name. Go and get him.
You just cut the middleman out.
Yo.
Yeah. Chelsea are watching you right now, Errol. By the way, they're watching you, watching them.
Right. If Todd Bowley's watching this, I don't know who that guy is. But I feel like we need to definitely replace the DM, and then I think squad depth genuinely, I think it's up there with some of the best teams outside the top 4, top 6. I think with regards to being the rotation, that's my only worry. Is De Zerbi going to rotate too much? Obviously, with Europe coming as well, you're going to see him, I think, rotating a lot. And you got Enciso. Like, Enciso started on the weekend, didn't start the first game, but he's got 2 assists. Looks an unbelievable player. So I'm excited, man. I think we're looking good, and the real test is going to be against the better sides, like a lot of the teams here. I think once we start playing those type of level teams, even West Ham, I think if we can get through that convincingly, that's when I could potentially say, like, do you know what, this season we could potentially look very dangerous and do some big things. But it's I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself.
Interesting, man. I really like what Brighton are doing, man. I just think they're a sick club. I love what they've done. I love how they've replaced their players. And I must admit, watching them play football at the moment, I know people will say it's only Wolves and Luton, but my God, they look very good, man. Very, very good. And I've not missed their players lift so far. Might as well touch on it before we close. Lawless has brought it up.
Quick question for Dan Pot. For Dan United. Just a quick question for him.
Go on, Errol. Go on.
Sorry, mate. I'm cooking the wife tea. I forgot. So
well, that's what I was thinking. I didn't know you had Maguire. I didn't know you had Maguire in the kitchen with you.
Sorry, Errol.
I didn't know you had Maguire in the kitchen with you.
See you, Errol.
Lawless touched on it very quickly. Arsenal very unconvincing in the first 2 games. Does anybody on here believe that this is going to be a shower of shite for Arsenal? It's all going to go wrong. 2 wins, did the job, got it over the line. Bit of a weird system, bit of a strange team selection. I'm not a fan, but I'm getting cooked by Arsenal fans because apparently it don't matter. So,
serious question for you, Potts.
Go on,
was that too much over celebrating last night, or did they strike the balance right? Because I was a little bit torn when I first seen it. I was off like, I get it.
Oh, we're not doing celebration
police again, is it?
No, but it's not. No, it's not about the. But it's not about policing it.
You can't say a word after Klopp against West Brom, mate. We're over celebrating, so don't come anywhere near that.
I know what Errol's saying. Like it was a relief though. It was a relief because when you're going down to 10 men and it's a hard place to go, like everyone will say, "Oh, it's Palace," but that's
everywhere's a hard place to go. We always
exactly.
It's a hard place.
Exactly. So away from home with pretend, men. I don't mind if Declan Rice gets excited by winning a game of football, man. I like the passion. Let's do it.
He's not used to it at West Ham, was he? Potts?
Exactly. West Ham,
Well,
he
he
can't
was
believe
winning
it.
the
He's like,
European
oh,
trophy.
we've got 3 points here. This never happens for West
European
Ham.
trophy. He won't be used to that at Arsenal. Ain't we
Posh,
shit in Europe? Yeah,
what
mate.
you're not taking into like account though is you said before about keeping your powder dry on certain things. To me, that was very telling from the Arsenal players. It was almost like they revealed the hand there, and I think that in itself says a lot and sends a lot of signals to other teams, the likes of City, probably the most. They probably think we've still got their number. If they're sweating that much after game week
but
2,
I think Man City have got our number, and I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that they haven't yet. Like Arsenal have got their number yet. I think it's way too early. That wasn't the thing that frustrated me. What frustrated me is that I don't believe we've been convincing against two sides that are probably going to finish in the bottom half of the table. But when I've spoken to a lot of
6
Arsenal
points,
fans,
though,
they think
Potts.
it's been fantastic. Exactly. And that's what they're saying, Billy. It's 6 points. Who cares? Get on with it. Get out there, move on to the next one.
But when
I
it
do
was
think
Spurs
this.
last season, we all said it wasn't sustainable. Remember when Spurs were doing this last summer?
Well, I
right?
don't know that it is sustainable,
Yeah.
Lawless. That's my point.
That's
I'm
what
not so sure
saying.
that it is.
So Arsenal fans were saying that to Tottenham fans. We were telling Tobes when we were playing shit, but we're still winning. Yeah,
I agree. I agree, Potts. I mean, sorry, Lawless. I agree, but at the same time, they're not on the same level as Spurs were last season. Like Spurs had Conte at the helm, who was all over the place. Then they weren't. Like, it was basically it was a shit show behind the scenes. Whereas Arsenal, they're actually in a good space where they've got a manager they trust. They've got the players coming in that they want. Like it's not the same shit show as Spurs. But I agree with you.
I think
Spurs
they
had the
peaked
same
last season. They peaked
Spurs, you're right. Like Spurs were winning games, and they were so unconvincing. They were so bad, but they were still winning games. But I think there was a lot going on behind the scenes, which is not happening at Arsenal. Do you see what I'm saying? So I just think I don't think it's the same in that sense.
I think he's rotated, and that's what's confused people. Gabriel missing out is a very bizarre one for me. Best defender last year. Now he's not played in the first 2 games. I wonder what will happen when Jesus and Zinchenko do come back, because we won't see Partey at right back in that role inverted with Zinchenko's playing there. That just won't happen. He won't double invert.
Why did Gabriel not start? I was baffled by that.
Don't know, Maz. We just don't
He's
know
in
at
my
the moment.
fantasy team.
They're saying that he doesn't fit this new system because he's not as comfortable on the ball as the other 3 defenders. That's what they're saying. They're also saying there's rumours of Saudi and Real Madrid. Romano has squashed them and said no, he's not leaving. Maybe he's not 100% fit. No one can know. All I know is that if we're playing Zinchenko there, I expect Gabriel Saliba and Ben White to come back as the back 4 against either Fulham or Man United in the next couple of games. And that's what I'm hoping, because I haven't seen the same electric Arsenal. I think Declan Rice, and I'm not just saying this, has been clear above everyone in the last 2 games.
Keep your powder dry, Potts, on Declan Rice. Keep your powder dry. Keep that fucking.
Otherwise, he's going to flop like
mate.
he did at West Ham. Then what you talking?
Dribbling on that powder right now, mate. And listen, we've all seen it. New signings come in, and we all have the glasses on. Oh wow, new signing. Oh look, he's better. We all do it. We see him do a couple of good things, and we get excited. Oh look, we've got this player. He's going to be brilliant. And then once we see him for a while, familiarity breeds contempt. 6 months later, you start noticing. And there's an analogy in there that Errol could come up with about having a bird and all of that stuff that he will come out with. Like, you know where I'm going with it.
Just have the same energy for Alvarez and all these guys as well.
No,
West
I'm
Ham,
saying
right?
we all do it, right? Alvarez, come on. I'm seeing him putting tackles. I'm like, oh, this guy's the bollocks, mate. He's going to be this. We all do it, Potts. I'm just saying, chill. Like, you can. I'm getting, thank you for Rice. Just keep that fucking energy when he
Declan
costs
Rice
you a
is
game
sick,
in the
man. I'm
Champions
sorry.
League.
He's been unreal.
Yeah,
Like Declan
he's
Rice.
Okay,
been
2
so
games,
good.
Potts. Are you telling me 2 games?
But Lawless, come on, bro. I feel like you're bit. It sounds like you're bitter right now.
Oh,
like,
sorry, but we will have to keep our powders dry. But fucking Potts can slobber all over his powder, right?
No, but Declan Rice. But it's not like Rice has had a Caicedo moment where he came on and was awful, and like you'll be like, oh yeah, he's looking a bit shaky.
So wait,
like, he looks solid, but
you're contradicting
He wants him to be shit, and he knows he's not going to be. That's what it is with Lawless.
No,
he wants him to flop. He knows he's not going to flop. That's what it is.
What you make of Havertz? What you make of Havertz?
What do I make of Havertz? Nothing special so far. Nothing special so far. I think a lot of Arsenal fans are getting a little bit too hyped by a few nice chests and a nice layoffs. I didn't see anything like that when we had Giroud and Lacazette, but Havertz does it, and apparently he's the masterclass. I don't get it personally yet, but I'm not saying he's been shocking by any means. Don't think there's been any Arsenal player so far that's been shocking in pre-season or in this game. I just don't like it because I'm not seeing what I expected. And people will say it doesn't matter because you've got the results, and Arteta's now changing into Pep and doing these different rotations and different systems for different games. I'd just rather be comfortable with my best 11 and know what it is. And I haven't seen that yet. But maybe we'll see it. Maybe it's changed. It's 2 games in, man. I'm not going to start losing my head.
I think we could walk the league this year. Seriously.
I swear to God,
seriously.
LB, right? That's not even you are going to walk the which
not even on like an arrogance thing. I just look. I know it's only early days, but I'm looking at everyone
with Man City this year.
Exactly. I'm looking at everyone and just like none of these teams come anywhere near
I agree.
us.
I
It's not
agree.
even on an arrogance. Just
LB, you're going to walk it. You're going to walk it. I've said this straight from the beginning, even before anyone signed anyone. You know, Declan Rice went to Arsenal. All before that, I said Man City are just a level above. I've always said it. Literally, Arsenal are just like second below them, but Man City might as well play their own league. That's how good they are. There's no point.
When's De Bruyne back? When's De Bruyne back?
They don't need him though.
But this is the point. I'm going to try and make is that. Like, if Man City are still at the top in a clear or certainly within the title race, and then you bring Kevin De Bruyne back, that's like bringing in a brand new big money signing to come in and tear things up. And let's not forget Kevin De Bruyne at the back end of last season, when he got his burners going, he was unplayable. And that's it's not about this early part of the season with Kevin De Bruyne. It's what he does when the money needs to be made at that point in the season, the business end of the season, that's when he turns it on. So if he's kind of had his rest and his recuperation and then he gets fit for 2024 and then hits the ground running, could be a
Liverpool ain't looking convincing. Man United, looking like a shambles. Does anyone think Arsenal were going to be as good as they were last season? Does anyone realistically think they're going to hit the levels they did last season, really?
I think they've got better. They've got better in terms of squad. Like they've definitely signed some.
No, we can talk about on paper. I'm talking about realistically in terms of performances. Do we really think that they will be as good over the course of the season as they were last season?
I agree, Lawless. I don't think they will. I agree.
It's not like they're playing horrendous football for 90
but I'm
minutes.
saying they peaked last season, Bill. What I'm saying is they were very good last season. We can all say it. I'll hold my hands up. They were really good this season. Can they sustain that a second season in a row?
We're going to have to wait and see, aren't we? But
I'm asking you a question. Do you think that? Do you predict that? Do you foresee that?
I think they could do. Yeah, I think
they
could.
Will they? You know how other teams look at Liverpool? Like LV, you said earlier on, you thought Liverpool would be that team this season that would challenge your boys, like for the title. Like that's because they've done it on back-to-back seasons. Like they've been there. They've been there back-to-back and they've fought you guys for the title. They've gone tooth and nail for it. I think that's the big question about Arsenal, is that Arsenal had a fantastic season. For long parts of it on this channel, on this show, I said I thought Arsenal would do it. I genuinely thought that they would continue it on to win the league. They didn't do it. But I think that's the big billion-dollar question, is that can they do it again? And I think if they
with Champions League football, Pete.
Well, Champions League, it's a great point.
Playing their strongest team 2 weeks, 2 games in a week.
And this is the point. If they can withstand that Champions League and go deep into the Champions League competition and still push Man City late onto the season, it doesn't matter if they fall away eventually or push them right to the last day, whatever it is, that for me solidifies Arsenal as a team that can be considered alongside Liverpool that are genuinely fighting for the title.
The thing is, though, with those celebrations last night, the one thing it showed me more than anything else was that they know that they can't let up. They know that they have to match City week in, week out with their results. City win, we've got to win. No matter what happens, no matter who gets sent off, no matter what's going on, they know that that's got to be the outcome. And I think that's the interesting thing. I think as a group of players, they look like they know the task ahead of them. Whether they'll be able to... It's going to be a long season, because if that's how they're feeling after 2 matches, they could get fatigued and burnt out as a result. But early doors, it signals to me that they know the task ahead of them and they know the mountain that they've got to climb. You kind of got to give Arsenal credit for grinding out those type of results. Is it sustainable? You've got to start making it look easier than it is for a longer period, because when it gets into the thick of it, once you get to the other side of City, Christmas, and then once you get to the other side of the New Year, when it comes to that clutch time, and as Pete said before, that's where your money's earned. That's where the question marks really start to come out for Arsenal. I'm not worried about the winter time. I think you'll have the energy, but it's when you come into that new year and that focus in the latter part of the Champions League, that's when the real questions will start to come out about this Arsenal team and what they're made of for me.
Also, just quickly, and I'm not saying he's that player that's going to impact the team so much because he literally just joined, but like, I know Arsenal's got Urian Timber. He got injured straight away, 4 months out. And imagine like Arteta, if you're Arteta, you're building your team for like pre-season, for the season start, and then all of a sudden Timber's gone like that, and you think, shit, now I've got to change my team. I've got to change things up. And I know it's 2 games only, but I think that's also been an impact as well. They played Tomiyasu at left back. They things were different against Palace, but they still got a win. So I think it's 2 games.
I think we've got 9 days as well. Maz I think he's going to go nuts to this window. I think he could change a lot of people's opinions. Like we've just mentioned, Liverpool, Arsenal in that boat as well.
You'll sign someone.
Oh man, we still need to. I'm sorry, we're still short. We are definitely needing. If we're comparing ourselves to Liverpool, fine. Man United, I fancy us to finish above both of them. We're comparing ourselves to the best team I've seen in a long time, probably ever in the Premier League. I think Man City will win the league. I don't think they'll walk it. I do think we'll come second. I don't think it'll be 20 points, 15 points, 11 points, but I think they'll win the league. I think already I've started to be a little bit unconvinced. Why? I don't know. We've got 6 points. And everyone keeps telling me, why am I unconvinced? I've just not seen the same electric Arsenal yet. And I hope that I do see that. We've got Jesus out. We've got Zinchenko out. We've got Timber out. I get it. We've got injuries already. But Manchester City have also got them injuries, man. Yeah. For me, I think Man City are the ones that are favourites. I'll tip Liverpool to be up there. I don't think at the moment it looks like they're going to be title challenging, but they could do with the right signings. 2 games in, things can change. I think it's a little bit early to say Man City are going to waltz it. But I understand he's got confidence in his team, and from what he's seen, they picked up where they've left off, and they look class. I think Lawless is hoping Arsenal bottle it again and go nuts because he hates us.
You ain't going to be in a position to bottle it. That's what I'm telling you. You ain't going to be in a
okay. We won't be in it then. You're hoping. I don't think you believe that. I think you're hoping that, but
I believe it.
That's okay. That's calm. If you
By
believe
the way,
that,
Man City have already got their Champions League now, right? They've got that pressure, that Champions League pressure of. Oh, well, they haven't won a Champions League. They've got it, right? So now remember, the league was their bread and butter. Man City fans, if you ask them, we're about the league. Like, man, we're about the league. Well, we don't care about Champions League. We boo the anthem. We're about the league, right? They're back there. So if they get knocked out of Champions League,
you're better at Mank than Liverpool, mate. You're better than Mank than Scouts, man.
I did listen. I was off today, but usually I get Errol down to a T. But I'm just saying, they don't need that Champions League now. So, boy, I'm telling you, they're going all out. And if you honestly, you're in for a rude awakening, Potts. I can't wait. I can't wait. You think you think we're gonna see that Arsenal last season? I'm not saying you're gonna collapse. I'm not saying you're gonna be a shambles, but it's going to slowly.
Listen, I'm not confident. I'm not sitting here giving it all, saying we're going to win the league. I don't know that we will. We have to win a trophy this season, in my opinion. Otherwise, Arteta's under pressure. You can't spend this much money and not win sake.
Oh, Lawless, out of all the London clubs, do you hate Arsenal the most, do you reckon? Or?
Do you know what? After this Declan Rice debacle, where I've had so much stupidity and just ridiculous things, they've edged it. I haven't. Do you know what? Since we won that trophy, bloody Spurs fans have done a vanishing act. I haven't heard from them all summer. It's been beautiful, right? These lot, shit that's got nothing to do with them. Yeah, we're linked with a player. They're in our mentions. It gets announced we're not getting a player. They're in our mentions. Like they're just like these gnats that just won't leave us alone. So right now, yes, I do. Right?
You hate Tottenham and Chelsea more than Arsenal. Do not lie.
No, I'm saying right now. I'm just going by recency. Like I said, I ain't heard from Spurs fans all summer. Yeah, so out of sight, out of mind. But you guys have been fucking annoying as anything all summer. But my opinion, what I'm saying is not based on any personal feelings. I don't think that level of performance that you gave last season is sustainable. I honestly can't see that happening. Yes,
Let's see,
you've
man.
got injuries and you've got this player out and you've got this player out. So is everyone. Like we've just said, City, they've got their injuries, right? We can't just keep using that. You want to be the big boys, then you know what I mean? That's not a factor. You ain't being that Arsenal. You'll be good. I'm not saying you're gonna miss out on top 4. I had you in top 4, didn't I? You're gonna be in top 4.
I don't know. I think you had us 4th, I think.
Yeah, is that not top 4? That's top 4.
Yeah, no, it is. But I'm just saying, you was making out as if you've been kind.
Yeah, but I'm not saying you're gonna fall off.
I've had you in the top 4 right now. I haven't had you in the 12th.
No, but top 4 and quarterfinals of the Champions League, yeah, that's a decent season.
That's not good enough for Arsenal. Lawless, don't lie to yourself. That is a shocking season. 4th place after going into a title race, getting into a quarter-final of the Champions League.
That's
and coming
4th.
That is regret. This is a typical West Ham mentality. Oh, that'll do.
Using a title jog. It wasn't played.
Listen, no, you want to say that's a typical West Ham, right? If that happens, yeah, don't not tell me so much of your fan base will not be going, oh, he's done it. He got us quarterback in the quarterfinal and we're top 4 again. We're back.
The problem with you, Lawless, is you compare me to our fan base, which 25 to 30% of those individuals, but man, more than that, are all absolutely deluded. So you're right to hate that bunch and hate on that bunch. I've never come on here and said Arsenal are going to do quadruples, trebles, or even win the league. I think that we have to win something this year. Otherwise, there's pressure on Arteta. And I've been one that's always been unconvinced by Mikel Arteta up until the last season where he put us into a title race, which I never thought he would do. This season, it is going to be more difficult. We've got Champions League back. I hear what you and LB are saying. I don't think it's going to be a shambles, but I do think they will struggle to win the league. I still put us in 2nd. I still put us in a title race. I just don't know how long it will be for. Will it be till May this time? Will it be till March? Will it be till Christmas? I don't know. I haven't got a clue, but I don't have us like
a shitload of money. You've spent a shitload of money, Potts, already, and you're saying you need to spend more. What are we talking about? $500 million?
We do. We've only strengthened now that Timber's injured in one position for me, and that's Declan Rice. Actually, David Raya, I'll give you Raya as well. That's it.
Oh, right.
Is that enough to win a title for you? Anyone on this tape? Anybody here think that what we've done in the transfer window is like, that's it, Arsenal are ready. They're going to go and do it now. No.
Oh, you
no one is sitting there.
You frauds were sitting there arguing with me over what I said about Arsenal, and you're like, nah. Come on.
No, but it's just no. Do you know what it is for me? I think
2 players away at least.
No, but do you know what it is? Like Man City's squad as a whole, like just look at their defense here. The squad depth they've got in defense is a joke. Like they've just signed Guardiola, and they've got Ruben Diaz, they've got Akanji, they've got Ake, they've got like just quality. Yeah, John Stones who's injured.
They're selling Laporte.
And they're selling Laporte. So, like, I always compare when you're talking about winning the league. Yeah, I'll always compare to Man City. I think as any football fan, you have to because they have been the champions for the last 3 years in a row. So you have to compare them to City's squad. That's why I think Arsenal aren't quite there yet, but they're close. And I think you can't really begrudge them that. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you get close to City without, I don't know, signing any players?
I love knowledge. Honestly, I love how chilled LB has been tonight.
Yeah, man, look at him. He's like, it's hard times, Laporte leaving, Guardiola coming in.
We're talking about title races and Arsenal and all the rest of it, and he's just chilled. These guys,
they've been there. He knows he's going to win the league. They were there for a cup of coffee. Like, and I have to explain. I've seen so many of these comments from Arsenal fans. Let me explain something to you, right? You've got a very simplistic viewpoint of how things go, right? I think people think, okay, this season, look how fucking great Arsenal were. Now we're signing more players that are going to be better. Put them into the team. We're going to be better. Sadly, that's not how it works, my friends. That's not how you don't. Is football was like that, and it was this linear progression of, oh, you play really well one season, then you sign this shit, spend a shitload of money, and then you get better the next season, and you keep doing it and doing it. It's not how it works, and you're about to find out. So, if anyone can
do that, they're about to find out.
So what do they need to do then, Lawless, to win the league?
Strengthen the squad, man.
But
that's not good enough. It's not good enough. No, but that's what I'm saying. But they can strengthen us. What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, Man City have been doing this season after season. They've been up there. Arsenal have been up there for 5 minutes. It's one season. So after one good season, we've seen teams do this so many times, right? They have that fucking first season syndrome. We see it when teams come up from the Championship, don't we? Teams get promoted. Sheffield United done it a few years ago, right? Oh my God, Sheffield United, brilliant, European charge. Next season, relegated, right? It happens. It's not tangible, right? That's how football works. If football was so simple like that, right, as if you sign these players that are good on paper. Look at Chelsea. Chelsea spent £1 billion and got worse. They got worse. By the way we look at it, they should be better than the season before, because when you spend loads of money and add all these quality players to a team that was so good the season before, you should get better. Football don't work like that. It does not. They can try. What?
It's not even about that though, Maz. It's about the fact that last year they got knocked out of the Carabao Cup in the first round, the FA Cup in the second round, and 7 out of the 10 most played players in the Europa League will not be playing in the Champions League this year. What Lawless is saying is this year they're going to be playing Champions League. They don't look great already. They've got to go from Premier League to Champions League, Premier League to Champions League. Dan says there he wants to win a trophy, so they're not going to get knocked out in the first round of the Carabao Cup and the second round of the FA Cup. And can that squad cope? My simple answer to that is I don't think they will.
There we go, man. It's about opinions, and we've had enough of them tonight. Wow, I can't believe how long we've been on it, man. That is an absolute madness. That's a record show by far. Big up Maz, big up Billy, big up Pete, big up Dan United, who had to shoot off the cookies, misses dinner at 10:30 at night. Big up LB, big up Errol, and big up Lawless. Make sure you do us all a favor. Make sure you go follow these guys. Make sure you go follow Seagulls Social. Wow, that's a tongue twister, Maz. Make sure you go follow Total Screamers Podcast, Loaded Mag NUFC, great green screen by the way, Pete. Make sure you go follow It's LB, go follow Red Men TV, and of course West Ham Fan TV, and like and subscribe to this one. We're on our way to 12k and we're getting there rapidly, people, so make sure that you support it. We will see you next time. Take care, and I'm back tomorrow with a whole bunch of new people. Take it easy. Laters, people.